Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? What's happening? What's crack-a-lacking? Welcome back. Random Show Settings with I, your host, Agostino Zinga. Random Show Settings with I, your host, Agostino Zinga. Episode number, what is it? 2 something? I don't know what number it is. It doesn't fucking matter. Whatever number it is, thank you for joining me once again. Random Show with I, your host, Agostino Zinga. What's happening? What's crack-a-lacking, my people? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, fine, good, amazing, great. Let me know how you're doing in the stream chat. Big up the stream chat. Big up everybody joining in. Today's a little quick episode, little 2-hour thing before I go for a run. I've got a lot of fucking LBs to fucking lose in the next 4 weeks and shit of this month, you know, as we kind of head into fucking festival season. I know I've left it kind of late, but still, it doesn't matter. If you see me within the next 4 weeks with sunken in cheeks, don't ask anything. Don't ask me to buy a burger. Don't ask me to eat something. Don't ask me to fatten up or whatever. I'm going into skinny mode in order to fit back into my summer clothes, because the last thing you need to do as a recently turned fat guy is try and buy new clothes when you're fat. You have to try and lose the weight to fit into the ones you already lost before. Okay, cool, great, amazing. That's all I'm doing. So 2-hour show today, quick one, not a long one. We're going to do 2 hours of nice bits of content. I've pulled most of the stuff I want to check out and view, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into what we're going to jump into. But big up everybody tuning in today. Well, happy Monday. Monday for me is always the best day of the week. I don't know about you guys, but Monday is always the best day of the week for me. I love a good Monday. It's a time to reset, to recharge, to go again, basically. You know, Brendan Schaub has this just go mantra. I have go again. I have turned a new leaf, and Mondays are the best days in the week because they give you a chance to turn a new leaf. Of course, for me, Monday, my infatuation with Mondays is kind of bad, because it comes from a bad place, to be honest, because I used to be, I'm going to say I used to be, because I'm not anymore. Even though I like to push it still, and I think it's quite fun to kind of run with the troll, because it's better for the troll and for the meme to be like the party guy and be the fuckhead. I'm always fucking high and drunk, but I'm not really, to be honest. I'm kind of boring. I'm always at home. I don't really do much anyway. So when I was always on it, when I was doing a bunch of drugs and I was drinking a bunch, the thing that I like to do the most on Mondays was to reset, because I had a crazy weekend, and usually because I DJ'd back in the day pre-COVID. Fucking hell, man, I miss COVID. I missed the days before COVID, man. Before COVID, I was a fucking actual DJ, like a real one. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't on a big level. I was just playing in local bars and clubs, but I could actually call myself a semi-professional DJ. I could call myself a semi-professional DJ before COVID, because I was playing out most of Thursdays, most of Fridays, most of Sundays, and sometimes on Sundays I'd be playing out. Every weekend I'd be collecting at least like 200 to 300 pounds, playing at local bars and clubs, getting free drinks, you know, chatting up fucking MILFs and shit, you know, getting requests from dads to play fucking, you know, some Oasis track or whatever, you know. And nowadays, look at me, I'm streaming to you guys. You know, I could be in some club somewhere dancing for fucking, you know, playing tunes for Jaeger bombs, but instead of flipping streaming to you guys. How the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen. Anyways, so that's why I kind of fell in love with Mondays. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Long story short, let's not fucking run into it. Big up everyone in the stream chat. I see all of you. Big up Snake Hips. Big up Michael T. Miguel, I see you. Big up My Nuts. Wagwan My Nuts. Big up Dun Dotter. Hopefully you're well. What's good? What's good? Always good to see you. Big up Damaz9197 and somebody called Honky Tonk Tennessee. Big up everybody tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Another episode of Random Show. Thank you for tuning in. So first video we want to react to is the new video courtesy of RETROACTIVE. Big up the person who recommended I check this out. I forgot who you were, but big up you, whoever you may be. I forgot exactly who you were, but you know who you were, who reminded me to watch a new RETROACTIVE video. RETROACTIVE has dropped a new video just now. We're going to watch this new RETROACTIVE video. It's on Brendan, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's called Brendan Schaub's Silliest Day Ever so far, in brackets. So we're going to play this new RETROACTIVE. Big up RETROACTIVE. Let's play this new video courtesy of them, and then we're going to continue on as per usual. Big up everybody in the stream chat. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Let's fucking go.
They all suck. They're all narcissists. They're all horrible human beings. Just in general, you gotta be a terrible person to get involved with that. All good.
Baseball Dad Project, making the players of the game balls for the championship game. Dad Project, tick, MVP game balls for the game tomorrow. I texted them myself.
Jesus Christ, bro. Look at that font. Honestly. Look at that. You couldn't even bother to like buy like vinyl lettering. Like, I get it. Dad Project, right? Dad Project should involve maybe a bit more effort. Maybe going and buying some gold balls, maybe getting them shipped over, maybe finding a place that has gold balls in stock and then going to the place and getting them, because I'm sure it does exist. Baseball being as big as it is in America, I'm sure there must be a place somewhere within the surrounding areas of LA where you can go and get like custom made stuff. We have it in the UK. You guys in America must have a lot of it because you guys have loads more sports than we play, right? Especially kids, and you have a lot of fucking events and stuff and things that people would need trophies for, or special commemorative events, or special commemorative objects, sorry. So surely there must be a place where Brendan could go to within the surrounding areas of LA where you can go and get some custom balls made. They might not be gold, maybe you can get the lettering done on them. Maybe that's a good thing. So it's not gold, or maybe you can get a trophy, a belt, a fucking picture frame, something that looks a little bit more like done, you know? That might help. Or if you're really gonna do the Dad Project, go all the way and actually do it properly. Maybe you sand down the balls so the paint sticks on them better, right? Maybe you sand them down. Maybe you buy some vinyl fucking paper, some vinyl material, and you actually cut out some of the letterings that you want to use and shit. Especially if it's just like, what is it? I don't know what the school is called. I think it's like an S and a C. Those are pretty too easy letters to kind of, you know, X-Acto knife out of some vinyl and shit and then glue them on. Would that be too difficult? Instead of just taking a regular fucking Sharpie you've got in your drawer in your kitchen that's probably run out of ink, and then just applying it on it and kind of fucking it up. Like, always the bare minimum. And even for his kids, like, come on, man, have a little bit of extra effort. Spend a bit of money. All that money you spend on a fucking Dodge 170 Lime Devil, you know, a Lamborghini truck, a fucking, you know, G-Wagon, a Ferrari, all this money on cars and trainers. But when it comes to the kids, they get fucking gold. They get old baseball balls sprayed gold with like house spray paint, and then with some fucking biro on the top of it, Sharpie. That does probably the spray paint didn't even have time to dry too tough, and then you just paint over it with fucking, you know, Sharpie. Come on, man, a bit more effort, Brendan. A bit more fucking effort, bro.
The game balls for the championship game. Dad Project, tick, MVP game balls for the game tomorrow. I texted them myself.
You are looking at spray-painted baseballs covered in marker because Brendan Schaub has never heard of a trophy shop. This is what it's supposed to look like.
That's what I said, exactly. That's what, big up Retroactive. Surely you have trophy shops in the States where you could get stuff like this done. Even better, like this is even better than what I was thinking. I was thinking go to a trophy shop, maybe buying something that has like half of what you want. So maybe it's like a ball and it's got like the, you know, maybe you could get printed a certain thing on it and you add the other thing on top of it. Maybe it's a particular type of mascot, maybe it's a particular type of ribbon or whatever, colors to represent the colors of the team. Something, man, put some effort in it. Guy just literally, like, he's treating his kids' baseball game with those balls like they're just a regular park team. But he talks about his kids' baseball team like his kids are about to play for the pros. If they're about to play for the pros, get them some pro fucking trophies.
Like, especially when you have the public image of an ex-UFC podcaster millionaire. But somebody tasked Brendan with his kids' baseball team awards, and Jesus, this might be the funniest thing he has or ever will do.
And that's a major thing that Retroactive pointed out here. This is Brendan's task. So most likely the coach is already fed up of Brendan. I'd assume so. If he's anything like he is on pods, if he's anything like he has appeared when he does other interviews, if he's just the way that we've always kind of known Brendan to be, he probably gets on your nerves after a certain while. Maybe the enthusiasm, maybe the knowledge, maybe the encouragement, the fucking insights, the passion that he initially brought to the team, being a former professional athlete, being a micro celebrity, all this sort of stuff is really cool. After a while, if you're the coach, it kind of gets a bit tired, and you're probably trying to give this guy anything to sort of distract him and kind of get him away from you. You give him a task. You say, okay, cool, boy. You go and you go and look after the fucking trophies and the special things for the kids, and I'll look after the coaching. You're hoping he can just distract himself long enough so you can actually continue coaching the kids and doing what you actually enjoy and what your actual passion is and what you're actually good at. He then goes and takes 2 seconds to spray paint these balls, comes back and he's already done it. You're like, fuck, I'll give you one job to get away from me, but also a chance for you to kind of, flex your muscles and I don't know, show off your resources, your network. Maybe you can't get hold of these trophy balls quickly. Maybe the turnaround time is really long, but because you're a celebrity and because you're well known, maybe you walked in there and you fucking flex your Joe Rogan muscles and you got them to fucking turn this thing around for you quickly. Do something. No, instead he comes back with these badly gold spray painted balls that he's then drawn over or written over in fucking Sharpie. The letters are going this way, letters are going that way. Some of them have been messed up and he went over them again. It doesn't look like there's enough ink on the fucking Sharpie. It's like, bruh, you can't do anything right.
If that wasn't enough, this man wrote the wrong...
Yo, big up Coiler. Wagwan Coiler. Wagwan Coiler in the chat. Wagwan. Jack Donahue. Wagwan.
Date. Brendan wrote the date he did this little dad project, as he called it, instead of the date of the baseball game before posting it on Instagram. Can you imagine what the...
Honestly, can you imagine how embarrassing that is? You write the date that you did the actual thing as opposed to the date the actual game is going to be on to commemorate the date of the... It's like, bro, can't you do anything right? And most likely you have to wipe that shit off with fucking whatever you're wiping it off with. A little bit of the Sharpie is going to come off. It's going to bleed into the gold. The gold will come off. You spray paint it. It'll look terrible. So you just have to throw that one away and do it again. Oh, so embarrassing, bro. You can't do anything right.
Other parents will think. Handmade awards. The youth team will probably start using the awards as baseballs and smear marker and gold paint on everything. As the comment said, they probably have big bold spots on the bottom already, judging by the Instagram pic. This has the craftsmanship of a macaroni painting going on the fridge, but Brendan Schaub isn't 3. He's 41. And he's going to present these and embarrass the... He's going to present these to people as awards. Is this man just the world's Tyler Durden? Like, he has to be a figment of our collective imagination at this point. It's genuinely baffling. I mean, can this man do anything right? Sure.
Maturity, in my opinion, is realizing that nothing in life is fair and you get what you can get when you can get it in life. That's it. There's no making sense of this, which is why I love to laugh at this and point and laugh. I think at the beginning of my streaming journey, especially when I was doing these type of shows, I think I was trying way too hard to try to like understand the dumbness, the redactedness of this guy and everybody else included. I think the best thing to do when you're doing these type of streams is just to enjoy the fucking shit show. Because to me, this is our version of Kardashians, right? But with an extra bit of redactedness involved in it. You don't try and, hyper-analyze or psycho-analyze the Kardashians. You just enjoy the show for what it is. You enjoy 90 Day Fiancé for what it is. You enjoy My 500 Pound Life for what it is. You don't try to, get some life lessons from it and pull out some deep meaning and kind of cross your arms and look down on people. No, you just enjoy the shit show because life is a shit show. And if anything, this is a microcosm or a reflection of life in general, and it should allow you to know that in life you'll probably encounter many Brendans, people that don't deserve anything that they have, zero, just through happenstance and luck and all this malarkey. Because a lot of Brendan's success is luck, right? If he doesn't bump into if he doesn't bump into Rogan, if he doesn't bump into Bryan Callen, his career isn't what it is. But he did end up doing that, and now he's a multi-millionaire and he has the ability to fucking earn a living through talking, even though he can barely talk and all this malarkey. But you don't try and understand it, you just accept it for what it is and you just point and laugh because that's all you can do. Because this guy quit comedy. This guy quit comedy to help his kid pursue a career as a baseball player. Then you ask yourself, how old is his fucking child? His child's fucking 7/8 years old. Then you say, okay, cool. You're taking your kid's career seriously because you think he's got something in him, because you've also been a professional athlete yourself, and then you find this yourself, hold on, what sport did Brendan actually become a professional in? UFC. But how long was he in that for? Not that long, actually. Did anything else before that? No, of course not. The only thing he did to a high level, really, maybe lacrosse or football to a certain extent. So you think about, okay, cool, no wonder, cool, no worries. You quit comedy to pursue your kid's fucking baseball career. At least you're hanging out with your kid. At least you're present in your kid's life. Some kids don't have that as a father figure. Great, amazing, you do it. Then you go and show off this whole thing, right? You're bragging about being the fucking baseball dad, and the one job you get given, the one job you get given is to create these commemorative balls or commemorative fucking ornaments, trophies, something for the kids to commemorate this fucking historic game that they're playing. The one job you get given, and you still fuck it up. God almighty, you just have to point and laugh.
Surely he could have just Googled baseball trophies and ordered a whole bunch. Like, how did this happen? How did nobody in his life go, dude?
No!
No ticket sales, so had to cancel the comedy tour. Live podcasts keep getting pushed back. I mean, this week, Bryan, Allegation, Callen, and SCHUAB thought an AI movie
Bryan,
trailer
Allegation.
was real and that Conor McGregor was actually playing Popeye.
I can't believe that I...
What?
No way. I didn't see this. No way. No way did these motherfuckers think that Conor McGregor AI trailer that was going viral a couple of days ago, or that was on the timeline if you have the same timeline as I do. No way did they think that trailer was real. No way did they think that video was real. Oh my fucking God.
fell for this.
The Conor McGregor thing?
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's all right, dude. That's how it goes.
Conor McGregor is in the new Popeye, starring with Margot Robbie. Popeye. Check that out.
Jesus Christ.
Massive.
Yeah, and starring in it. That's Popeye the
Jesus
Sailor.
Christ.
Man, the AI era is really going to do a number on people like SCHUAB and Callen. The fighter and the kid.
Is that like a boomer thing, do you think? Maybe because they're boomers or they're just redacted? How do certain people get fooled by these AI things? Aren't they obviously AI? If you spend any amount of time on the internet or you just have any semblance of understanding of media, it would be easy to call that shit out. It's so bait when you see it. Even some articles, you read them and you're like, oh shit, somebody wrote this with ChatGPT. It's pretty obvious to kind of see that sort of shit. It doesn't require like a discerning mind or anything or any type of intellect or any whatever. It's just, if you spend enough time on the internet, it's kind of easy to kind of suss what is AI and what isn't AI. But again, maybe I'm wrong.
Will just become these two talking about things that aren't even real. At least SCHUAB is still doing a solid public service by mentally torturing Chris D'Elia.
No, well,
Facts,
no, it's
Nick.
not. No, it's because I
That's
wasn't.
exactly what it's like. We're
Because
at 7.
dude, when I don't talk, you don't talk, and then I go to talk, and then you talk.
I know. It's the icing.
Chris is genuinely losing.
Chris does not like that man. Or does, no, sorry, I retract that. I said earlier, Chris likes Brendan, but I don't think Chris likes I don't think Chris likes the fact that he has to rely on Brendan for a salary. I think he probably, you know, it's sort of like, you know, when you lend a friend money and they say, oh, if you lend someone money, especially a friend, be ready for that to ruin your relationship, because they're then going to despise the fact that they had to ask you for money in the first place. You may be okay with it, you may be okay with them not even paying you back, whatever, but they're going to not like you anymore just because you put them in the, just because they feel like you put them in a position to ask them for the first. Do you know what I mean? That word power balance. So I think with Chris D'Elia, he definitely feels like, oh my God, I can't believe I now have to rely on this man for a salary. Like, and I actually need it. I can't just not show up, because let's be honest, like, for the whole time Golden Hour's been around, how many episodes has Chris missed? He hasn't missed many, you know. Chris hasn't missed many episodes of Golden Hour. Eric has missed a few, going to Austin to do Comedy Mothership, and, you know, his career's blossoming and he's doing fucking, you know, auditions and whatever things and bobs. Brendan Schaub sometimes hasn't turned up because he's just going to do some car mods. But Chris has always been there. He hasn't really missed a Golden Hour, I don't think. He hasn't missed many. So he clearly needs the gig. He needs the fucking salary from it. So he has to do this job, even though this guy is ridiculously redacted. And there was a period in fucking Chris D'Elia's life where he was legitimately on his way to fucking Netflix stardom. And then it all got taken away from him once everybody found out he was a diddler. And now he sits across from this dude who doesn't let him finish, not even a sentence, he doesn't even let him finish actual full thoughts. He doesn't even let him finish sentences. And sometimes he can't get out 2 words before Brendan doesn't interrupt with his redacted take. He's just sitting there thinking, I have to put up with this. I have no other choice. This man is actually my boss.
losing his mind, and if his allegations are true, it's exactly the workplace he deserves and more.
I wait.
Yeah, go.
I wait to give you a chance to talk.
I don't want to go
You
there.
don't use it.
I don't want to go there.
How long this will continue is the better question, as Golden Hour is slowly losing its dependable audience. They wouldn't manage to pay these three based off the podcast's own profits of AdSense and sponsors. But considering it's a part of Podcast One, the alleged shady folk that owe many big creators millions of dollars, they're probably paid in shares that are getting lower every single day.
When's that going to end, by the way? When are we going to do a recap on Podcast One when it completely goes belly up? When is that going to happen? That's going to be a funny one because they still owe Theo Vaughn money. Brendan just like signed a new deal with Podcast One. He got his money that they took out from like a payday lender in Spain. They took a loan out from a payday lender in Spain to front Brendan the money from the 1.2 that they owe, like some nonsense thing. Theo never got his money. Then the fucking Cast Media Podcast One guy sued Theo and a few other people, including CoffeeZilla. I'm not too sure if that lawsuit is still going through, if it's been thrown out of court. But I wonder when we're going to come back around and dance on the fucking carcass of Podcast One. And I wonder what Brendan will then do. Because the reason why they stayed with Podcast One, again, I understand why they stayed. As scummy as that was to do to Theo, because most likely the chain of events is that Brendan brought Theo in to Cast Media, and then Cast Media ended up fucking over Theo, which then led into Cast Media get bought into fucking Podcast One, but Theo hasn't still got his money. So I think that might have been one of the reasons, and you guys have also said on the stream, it's not just me, but other people on the stream have said, and people on Reddit has also have said, that most likely the reason why Theo left Golden Hour was because the business was so fucked up and he was annoyed and just pissed off and left a sour taste in the mouth. And probably my other theory is that Theo's agents told him, hey, if you want to blossom, if you want to take your career to the next level, you have to get away from Brendan and by default get away from Chris as fast as possible. And so, coincidence, since he's left, he's gone, out in the moon. But return to the point, Brendan signed on with Podcast One because they owed him money, but also he signed on to them because they were the only people that were giving him really, really favorable splits. Because if you remember correctly, the reason why Cast Media went under was because in the beginning, the founder of Cast Media, in order to get some good clients and good podcasts under his belt and on the roster, he offered them splits that didn't make sense. He'd give them cash advances, he'd give them favorable splits that they were never going to sustain long term, and then it turned into a bit of a Ponzi scheme. So, he had good intentions, but it ended up fucking over down the line. Yo, big up Omar Ramos. Appreciate you, Omar Ramos.
Oz dropped about half my check at the strip club. Can drop another tip at Oz to show some love to haha supporting single mothers and YouTubers. Winking face.
It's too late. I can't laugh too much. It's too late. My neighbors are going to be angry. Oh my God, Omar Ramos, you're a fucking G. You're a fucking legend. Honestly, that is so funny. YouTubers and single mothers have a lot in common, don't we? Don't we? YouTubers and single mothers, we have a lot in actual common. There's actually a lot. There's probably a through line that connects YouTubers with single mothers. We are actually have way more in common than people would lead to believe. That's fucking amazing observation. Big up Omar Ramos. That is so fucking funny. Oh, big up. What was I gonna say? So anyway, going back to this thing I was saying, right? I'm wondering when Podcast One eventually goes under, what will happen to Brendan? Because Brendan stayed with Podcast One, which is obviously Cast Media, because they owed him 1.something million, and because they gave him favorable splits that he wasn't able to get any roles. Because if you remember during the negotiation process, when they did that podcast where they were talking about, oh my God, how hard it is to get a deal, and they were complaining, and then they started talking about the Cast Media fallout. They went on CoffeeZilla. They were basically talking as if like they found, like when they went out again to try and get other podcast partnership agreement thing done after the Cast Media thing went under, they realized that the podcast landscape had changed. So when they signed their original deal, the podcast landscape was one way and their numbers were one way. But when that deal ran out and they had to find a new partner, they realized, oh shit, the climate out there isn't too good. So I wonder how long Thick Boy will last. If podcast what actually the future of Thick Boy and the Fire and the Kid, I think is very dependent on the success or lack thereof of Podcast One. If Podcast One succeeds and stays around, firing the kid, Thick Boy, everything else stays around. If they go under, I think the whole fighting the kid goes under too, because they handle all their ads. And I don't think Brendan and Bryan can get as good ad deals as they can get under this fugazi company that gives them splits that don't make any sense. Because I think nowadays, because podcasts are so prevalent and the bubbles burst, as you guys keep saying, I think nowadays the advertisers are a bit more strict and probably do a bit more due diligence on the numbers. So they're gonna find out that audio isn't king and that these guys are fubbing they're fudging their numbers, they're buying views and shit, and they're gonna give them a deal that they probably won't make sense to them, and things are gonna change, and then suddenly they'll be out of that warehouse and they'll start downgrading the studio space. I think the future of Thick Boy is very, very dependent on success of Podcast One. Oddly enough, big up Koila in the chat, wild one, and that's why Dalia made fun of Theo with the "we gotta talk about money" impression. Oh, yeah, true. I never thought about that. That's a good point. That's a very good point, Koila. Very good point. Yeah, I think as well. If you remember, don't you remember as well? Bear this in mind, my guy. Wasn't Theo one of the only people making jokes about Crystalia too? About the kiddie diddling thing? I think maybe Theo really got spooked when Crystalia went down for that shit. I don't think he was aware of what Crystalia was getting up to. And because he's, Theo likes to act a bit chill and a bit nonchalant, but I also think he's very driven. He wants to be successful. So he was, he knew where he was going, where his career was going. Then he saw fucking Chris getting done for diddling. He's like, hey, I don't want that shit. I like girls too. I like to fuck as well, but I don't want this shit. I'm not into fucking underage girls. Like, he was really freaked out because he was really close to those dudes. He could have gone down with them, but he kind of got away quickly. And luckily for Theo too, people don't really associate Theo with Brendan, even though he was with him for a while. He's been very lucky. Maybe because he'd done a lot of things outside of it, but he was with Brendan for a long time, doing fucking King of the Sting, doing guest appearances on The Fire and the Kid, doing the whole guest of the year thing. Like, he was around them a lot, but he did very well to kind of get away quick enough, do you know what I mean? And kind of not have that fucking smudge on his name. So when the Bobby Lee shit went down, the Crystalia shit went down, he was like, look, I don't want to be involved. So yeah, Koila made a very good point that I never thought about that. It sounded like Cast Media ads were paying Alex J salary, and when it got blacklogged, they looked at it. They took it out. Hold on, Koila's a legend. It sounded like Cast Media ads were paying Alex J salary, and when it got blacklogged, they took it out of BGO share. Yeah, that's a good point. BGO ended up getting fucked over the most out of all of it. Hopefully he gets his money though, by the way. Hopefully he gets his money. I think he has though. He's gone kind of quiet. Whenever people go quiet when they're owed money, it's because they got the money. I think BGO got his money. I don't know. I've got a feeling. He hasn't been around in a while. He hasn't made another account on the Reddit, which he could easily do if you wanted to. So I think BGO might have got his money. I hope he has got his money. Big up BGO.
His side venture Toontown is at 5 videos in 6 months and soon to be forgotten about entirely. Instead, he's doubling down on the truck persona, selling more car club merchandise, and telling porcupines to real gearheads at the Oil and Whiskey podcast.
I didn't get into cars because I want to make money or I need views. I do it because I would be doing it whether there's a camera or not. So anything, whether it's my merch line, the whiskey, I do it because I have a passion for it. It's what I want to do. So for cars,
that'll get people to click. Sure, pretending that he's never grifted with the merch, whiskey, or trucks. He's just passionate. It's not about money. That's why.
And he always says these kind of things because he's just rabbiting. And again, I'd much prefer it. I don't know what these people do this type of thing. I guess it's just like a bare minimum type of thing, right? Because he's obviously saying these things because it's what Rogan says. Rogan says don't read comments. Brendan says don't read comments. Rogan says I don't do things for money. Brendan says I don't do things for money. But I'd love it if he actually followed through and did those things that Rogan speaks about. Because, like it or not, the way Rogan acts and speaks on his pod, I generally don't think Rogan reads comments that much. Or if he does, he scans them briefly. He doesn't really have any awareness of how he's perceived. He repeats the same stories again and again, the same anecdotes, the same points. His opinions on things rarely change. I actually don't think he actually reads his comments, which is beneficial probably, especially considering the amount of comments he gets. Brendan could probably benefit from that. But this whole thing about not doing things for money, actually maybe try and do that. Maybe try and do stuff not for money and not for the clout, and maybe your content might improve, but you obviously do everything for that. And obviously, you know, the content isn't great anyway because you just kind of do it half-assed. But this whole, I'm just going to say the right things that Rogan says to appear successful is its own type of grift anyway.
By each episode was him dropping off his truck to a mechanic because he's been passionately modding cars since he was 16.
People are going to be pretty mean to me, pretty nasty, because, you know,
people that say these type of things as well, it's so DSP says the same thing too. People are mean to me, pretty nasty. Don't you understand how you're perceived? I think there's a lack of, I think this is the main difference between people like a Brendan and like a Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I think the reason why those guys are so successful is that they understand why people despise and loathe them. It doesn't change what they do, but they understand why. I think Bubba and DSP and these type of people genuinely don't have any idea why people don't like them. In their brains, they honestly think they're the hero in every fucking scenario. They think they're the good guy. Oh, I'm the best guy. I'm the beast of a dad, the best of a podcaster. Why could anybody hate me? It's like, bro, having an understanding why people don't like you is actually its own form of superpower. It can actually benefit you in the long run, as Jake Paul and Logan Paul have shown, and other derided figures on the internet. I think they have a semblance of understanding. Okay, this is why people don't like me. I'm going to lean into it a bit. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, you know, basically embrace whatever meme people fucking put on you. But Brendan's still in his brain thinking he's Rogan. It's like, you're not Rogan. Even Rogan, people are turning against him because of his views and opinions and the way he kind of carries himself and the things that he says and shit and his outlook on life and how, you know, detached from reality he may be or some points. You've never been Rogan. Like, he had a brief period in the beginning of his career, people kind of were rooting for him, but as soon as he's got a semblance of success, it went to his head and he went fucking cuckoo, and now he's here saying people are being mean to me. No, they're not being mean. They're just reacting to the crappy things that you say and do.
You know, I'm not Carol Shelby.
The car thing is new to you.
Yeah, I mean, new as far as me showing it, you know.
You honestly got offended when that guy said that. Part of him got offended. The guy said it's new to you. Any other person with a semblance of humility, a semblance of self-reflection, a semblance of introspection, a semblance of just normality will be like, yeah, it actually is, man. Like, I'm really into it. I obviously love to attack new things with all my passion. You know me as an athlete, I go into things balls deep. I give it my all. I'm driving to, you know, I love driving anyway. As you guys have seen in my Instagram, I'm always in and out of new cars. It's something I've always been passionate about ever since I've been, you know, on this career path that I'm on now at the moment. And since I've quit stand-up comedy, I've taken a back seat from it. I'm just kind of exploring the pickup truck world and that whole community because it's so welcoming or whatever it may be. There's so many avenues to go down, and it obviously occupies my time, gets me out of the house, you know, hate the kids, ball and chain, ha ha ha. The kids, I fucking hate them. Like, all that sort of shit, boom. What's wrong with saying that? Why do you need to go like, I've been doing it quietly behind this, actually, before? Bro, no one believes you. You do everything on social media. If you actually did meet Aaron Rodgers for that fucking Tiger Thick whiskey deal thing that you lied about, we would have seen it on social media. If you really did start modding cars when you were 16, we would have seen throwback pics of you underneath your fucking truck, fixing it in your fucking dad's driveway. We haven't seen that shit, so it didn't happen, and most likely you're lying.
As far as me creating content around it, but as far as cars go, I've been modding cars since I was 16.
SCHUAB has not modded a single car on Toontown himself, but he's been modding cars since he was 16. Yeah, okay. I don't know how he keeps a straight face. It all adds up perfectly, thank you, Brendan. At least he's still verbally torturing Bryan Callen with his truck fender talk for an entire 5 whole minutes without Bryan saying a single word.
I wonder if Bryan could do the same thing to Brendan. Could Bryan do the same thing to Brendan and talk to him about some non-existent billionaire guy that he invented, that he spoke to, which is actually a billionaire that he heard on the podcast? I think Bryan does that a lot. Oh, I spoke to this guy, he's a former SEAL, this FBI guy, this restaurateur, this hotel magnate. It's like, no, you heard them speak on a fucking podcast and now you're just repeating what they said. Like, but could Bryan repeat one of those boring stories that he does on a pod to Brendan without interruption? Could he actually do that? I don't think he could, you know. Whereas Bryan has to sit there and listen to Brendan talk about fucking pickup trucks.
Knowing that he's not into trucks, and knowing that Callen knows that SCHUAB wasn't into trucks either until very recently, he's clearly sick of hearing about his fake hobby.
There you go.
Wild.
Yep.
Wild.
All right. Nice. Well, congratulations on that. Your fabrication. I wish you luck on your truck.
But this should be your takeaway, stupid fuck, right?
Okay.
Yes, insult the man listening respectfully to what your mechanic probably did anyway. Judging by the glossy and matte mix of hell he had done to this, they're making their money's worth off Brendan. He could not have picked a better next truck mission. Fabricating? The guy viral on the internet for telling alleged lies is now fabricating his truck. It writes itself. The lies haven't stopped though. Reddit user Haphazard, perfect name for this post. SCHUAB again has to boast and pretend to be the best worker ever to put Callen down.
Jim.
Yeah.
You are a machine. I don't think you've ever called in sick. I don't think you've ever not been here.
To be fair, that's not actually a good thing. The fact that he's never called in sick and they've never rewarded him with an all expense paid trip or just given him a solid 4 weeks off away from work is actually kind of a crime in itself. Chin will never take the time off himself because he's a workaholic and because he has no friends and no social life outside of the pod, and he actually seems to really enjoy the company of these guys, even though they don't seem to go out their way to hang out with him. But if you're actually a caring and attentive and supportive boss, and you actually saw that one of your employees who's been the most loyal, hardworking, committed guy in that fucking place hasn't taken a day off, even when they got their neck cranked by a former UFC heavyweight, you would just give them the 2 weeks off, 14 days off, especially in America where you guys don't get paid vacation anyway. You'd give it off to him because he deserves it. If anybody deserves that level of grace, that level of appreciation, that kind of, fucking appreciation, it will be him. Right? A reward. Like, hey man, thank you for standing by us. Thank you for holding us down. Thank you for being a great employee. Thank you for being a great partner, a great friend, a great colleague. Here's 14 days off from work. And just give it to him. And maybe even give him his pay ahead of time or something. I don't know. Just sort him out for a good feeling and just get someone else to cover. Surely someone could cover for fucking Chin for 2 weeks. Just get them to cover for Chin for 2 weeks. Is that really hard to do? No, they don't do it. They don't give it to him and force him to take it. He doesn't ask because he's Asian and shy and he has this weird like complex about work and bosses, and he kind of treats these guys like they're fucking Elon Musk or something, and he bows and cowers to them, even though Brendan is maybe 2 years his senior, if that. They're probably around the same age, but Theo looks at Brendan like he's his big brother. He looks at probably Brian kind of like he's his fucking dad. So he has this really deferential, I think the word's called, sort of vibe, and cowering down, bowing, even though he's fucking Korean to these type of dudes. But they should really be giving him time off. Like, hey man, here's a reward, Chin. Here's for holding us down. Here's for being loyal. Here's for never fucking, going BGL on us. And because if he wanted to, if Chin really wanted to go BGL on these guys, he could fucking destroy them because he knows where the bodies are buried. He's been there through all the ups and downs. He's got stories to share, but he's never ever been that guy. Always supportive, always positive, always backing them, always on time, always reliable. They don't give him time off. They make him work when he goes on holiday into Korea. He goes there for 7 days. He takes his fucking laptop with him. Shameful. And then they're bragging about it. You don't take any time off. And he's sitting there too, like happy to receive that. It's like, bro, no, you should take some time off. You should probably take some time off. It'll be good for your creativity, good for the podcast, good for your fucking sanity, good for your peace of mind, and maybe good for them to realize how much work you do to appreciate you more. I don't know, man. But what do I know? What do I know?
He's unbelievable.
Never called.
I'm talking about in, 10 years?
8. And there's only 2 people in this room I've never missed. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking bizarre?
Hey, dude.
Isn't that cool?
In reality, he's...
And they refuse to go to dinner with those guys. How many times... Maybe I should do that as a compilation. Figure out how many times Chin has offered to go out for dinner or suggested, or he's been very enthusiastic when they floated the idea of, let's do a group dinner. In the whole time the TFATK has been around, I've maybe seen 2 or 3 pictures of them together as a quote-unquote family, as a team, eating together, drinking together. They rarely, if ever, do it. As soon as, they only see that guy in that studio. And on comedy tours or shows where he's helping them film B-roll.
Editor-producer Chin hasn't missed a day, and Brendan has missed a ton of days. Some part of him would know people can go check that quite easily, but he doesn't care and lies anyway.
All right, Brendan's getting his truck worked on.
What's up, TFATK Army? I'm missing today's episode. I was on the road and...
This used to be a big thing. I don't understand why it was something to brag about, really. I never missed an episode. I never understood that was something to brag about, because the whole reason behind doing the kind of stuff that they do, the kind of stuff that I do at a lower level, the whole reason about doing this sort of stuff is that you talk about things that you enjoy, so it's not work, so it's like fun, and also you get to kind of write your own schedule. And if you do have to miss a couple of days because you have to look after the kids, you have to go visit the family, you got to go on vacation, you have an operation, special event, something sad like a funeral, something nice like a wedding, then you just take it because you're your own boss and you can write your own time off. This idea of like, oh, I never miss a day on podcast, it's like, what does that even mean? Like, maybe miss a day. Maybe missing a week might help you, might, you know, breathe new life into the pod, might re-inspire you, reinvigorate you. This whole like, oh, and hustle hard, like, how can you hustle a pod? It's either funny or it's not. And sometimes with these guys, considering how long they've been doing it, maybe taking some time off might be actually beneficial for it. So this bragging hustle bro culture around recording, and then you found out that you're actually lying because you missed loads of episodes, is absolutely hilarious.
Shout out to Brendan, who can't be here.
Oh, Brendan can't be here.
The SCHAUB usual. What makes it 100 times worse is something like this. SCHAUB, the trained ex-UFC black belt with a weight advantage on Chin, and he still just doesn't know when to stop. Harming his most loyal worker and business runner, leaving him to deal with the insurance I assume his job has provided, or the cheapest Chin could afford to try and fix his neck. SCHAUB instead argued with Chin about this on the podcast.
I'm still waiting on the freaking
My girl
insurance.
did that at Chin.
This is when I lost a little bit of respect for Brendan too. I'm not gonna lie, because this was during the time where he was doing this weird fake thing where he would go out of his way to offer people money and offer to help out things. Like he'd do this like public charity declaration thing where there'd be like a story in culture on the news, especially within in the fight world, combat world, and he'd be like, yeah, I'll pay for this. Like he'd make some like, you know, vague offer to pay money and to make it seem like he's a good dude. But then when he fucking busted Chin's neck when they were fooling around in the fucking office, and he obviously did it because he was too fucking, you know, bearish and clumsy and didn't have any restraint being the fucking trained fighter, he didn't do that same thing he does to everybody else and offer to pay for Chin's thing. He was almost kind of flippant about it, very dismissive, very kind of whatever, so what about the whole thing. Kind of bully boy about the whole thing as well. And Chin, of course, being the submissive, you know, dork cuck that he is, sat there and took it and was scrambling to try and fucking save his neck and did everything possible to do so. I think he did it in the end. And then fast forward to nowadays, when Brendan flipped his truck, guess whose neck brace he needed to use for the whole bit to sell the video? On the thumbnail, of course, the same fucking neck brace that Chin used to basically help his neck heal and repair when Brendan fucking popped it. Diabolical.
Changed everything.
You're still waiting on what? My medical insurance sucks.
Oh, okay.
It's they're taking forever.
Holy Chin, you don't need this, dude.
I do need it.
He says he does need it.
I love that you're doing
Does
that.
it help, Chin?
Yeah, I think it's actually helping a little bit. Yeah.
Compare that to Dylan Dennis, who safely did the same to Andrew Schultz and Akash Singh, not dragging them on the floor, and not ending up with a lawsuit. Brendan can't even keep up with Dylan's standards. Genuinely one of the worst moments he's ever had, and Chin somehow stayed loyal instead of suing and finding a better job. Still, above all, imagining Brendan turn up at those baseball awards is one of the funniest yet painful mental images. So embarrassing. Jesus Christ. SCHAUB also decided to bite the hand that gave him everything he has. He decides to show how hurt he is by saying he would destroy...
Yeah, this is... big up Retroactive for pointing out the same thing that I pointed out. This is definitely an illustration that Brendan and Drogue and aren't as close friends as they were. Because Brendan of like 2019, the Brendan of like 2017, when he was best buds with fucking Rogan, would never say this. He would always defer to Rogan. He'd be very, this would be the one time he would be quite self-deprecating and be like, nah, actually, have you seen Rogan kick a heavy bag? Oh my God, look how fast he is. Those spinning back kicks are fucking crazy. Like, he would say all that sort of shit. But now that there's a bit of distance between them, both figuratively and literally, Brendan was like, nah, I'm gonna beat the shit out of that fucking thumb. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously he would anyway, but it's just the fact that he would say that and be very matter of fact about it without even joking, without a hint of fucking humor or irony, is very, very reflective of where they are as friends. And also made it funny that the very next day when that story kind of went across the newswire and was quote unquote somewhat viral, Rogan is then hitting the fucking heavy bag. No coincidence there, my friend. That's my fucking narrative and I'm sticking with it.
Joe Rogan in a fight. 5'5" versus 6'4". Rogan would have to land the perfect head kick to win. Otherwise, SCHUAB's size and experience advantage would give him the win, but...
Yo, big up Wingus McDingus, Wagwan Wingus, Wagwan. Big up Joe from MIA, I see you, Wagwan, Eli Winslow, Wagwan.
But nobody is...
King Bayo, Wagwan as well. Like the stream, Wagwan everyone. Join, like the stream.
Pressed by an ex-top 10 UFC fighter bragging about, I can beat someone way smaller, older, and less experienced than me. Haha. It's like, yeah, that'll turn it around, Brendan. Brilliant marketing move. Now you're definitely going to be performing at Joe Rogan's mothership.
Then I'm at the step mothership, Vulcan, Friday, Saturday.
It's the way that he looks at Rogan as well when he says it. Honestly, so fucking cringe. Let's rewind that one more time. I always remember this clip. It's so embarrassing because he was saying this step mothership thing on TFATK for ages before he went on Rogan. And obviously he probably, I'm assuming, started it because he knew eventually we'd get onto Rogan. But then he finally gets onto Rogan, he promotes his dates, and he says the step mothership to Rogan in front of him, almost as if like to signal like, hey man, no hard feelings. I don't mind. Even though we're best friends, even though you literally handed me my career and gave me an opportunity to perform at the Comedy Store, that used to be the Mecca, that used to be the fucking... the hallowed ground of comedy, even though you gave me gigs there when I didn't really deserve it, when I was 2 years in, you let me perform on Joe Rogan and Friends show, and now you got your own club, you want me to let me perform there, I don't mind, no hard feelings, step mothership, right? He kind of looks at him like cringe.
Coming at Joe Rogan's mothership.
Then I'm at the step mothership, Vulcan, Friday, Saturday.
The king of digging his hole deeper. The Brendan SCHUAB effect. And thank you for watching.
Brendan had an emergency, but everything is okay.
The emergency was that Pauly Shore was on the podcast.
That's right.
And I can't be seen with that guy.
Honestly, man, honestly, those balls, I swear to God, I'm glad Retroactive pointed it out, but those balls might be an exact representation of just how low effort and kind of bare minimum Brendan actually is. Like the one thing that he does with his kids that he says is the most important thing in the world, look at how little effort he puts into it. He just spray painted a bunch of balls, probably didn't do it right, and then drew over them in fucking Sharpie that was barely fucking, barely had any ink in it, messed up the date. He actually wrote the date that he did it as opposed to the date of the actual event or the actual fucking game, special game it was. Like, fucking hell, you couldn't spend a few more minutes buying the stuff ahead of time from Etsy or from eBay, or maybe going to a local sports memorabilia shop or something, or trophy store and buying it, maybe spending a bit extra money and getting some custom stuff done, maybe custom jerseys. Hey, aren't you a merch guy? Can't you make them custom merch design things? Can't you get some designer on Fiverr to spec up some fucking graphics or something and put them on the shirt? Maybe do a flip of a logo. Like, why can't you do all those things that you do for money just for your kids that you supposedly care so much about? Fucking hell, man. Bare minimum Brendan. Bare minimum Brendan. Big up Retroactive. The episode or the video title is Brendan SCHUAB'S Silliest Day Ever. Bracket so far. Subscribe to Retroactive. They do absolutely great work. I'm a big fan of the channel. Always support them. Big up Retroactive. Big up Blood Clot Retroactive. Cool. Moving on. Everybody, welcome to the show. I appreciate all of you are tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in. Always a pleasure. Never a fucking chore. Next clip we have to play here is Charlamagne the God on The Breakfast Club. So, I mentioned beforehand on another episode of The Random Show, there was an episode where I played a clip from BRYAN Callen, where he's sitting in the car somewhere and he's ranting and raving about who he thinks will win between Logan Paul. Yo, big up Burp Reynolds.
AZ Squad, AZ Nation.
Yes, Wagwan. Appreciate you. You guys are not going to stop with this fucking AZ Nation thing, are you? Fucking no. You're not going to stop. But anyway, big up everybody. Appreciate you. We're not going to run with that AZ Nation shit. I fucking hate it. But I appreciate all of you for the love. Thank you so much, Burp Reynolds. Appreciate you so much, brother. I played a clip of Bryan Callen, who was screaming into his fucking iPhone while sitting in his Tesla somewhere on a warm sunny day when he should be really with his fucking friends and family, looking after his kids who are just born, by the way. He has 2 kids probably under the age of 3 years old they should be looking after. He was in his car ranting and raving about who would win between Logan Paul, or Jake Paul and fucking Mike Tyson. Now doesn't really matter because the fight has been postponed because of Mike Tyson's health or something. Anyway, long story short, I said when I watched that video, why doesn't Bryan just give up? And I think some people kind of saw it or kind of heard me say that and thought I was being flippant, thought I was being rude, thought I was being mean. But I honestly do think, because I've had to wrestle and reconcile and think about that myself when it comes to my raving career, raving lifestyle, my DJ thing, and just think, you know what, maybe actually taking some time away or stepping away for something or quitting something and putting more resources on another thing is actually a good thing, especially when you decide to step away. The worst thing possible for you to do is to get chucked out of a party. It's best for you to leave the party with all your fucking, you know, with all your senses in order, without being sloppy and without fucking landing on your ass somewhere in the gutter. But I feel like with these podcasters, these comedy guys, they don't have any ability to just quit while they're ahead. They just want to run it to the fucking ground. And I feel like with Bryan Callen especially, he's a special case because he started with Rogan in the beginning. He went through that whole period of enjoying the fucking heydays of LA. He had all that amazing moment in the sun with the fucking peak days of fucking firing a kid. He got cancelled for a very serious rape allegation and then came back to firing a kid and still was able to pod, still was able to tour doing stand-up comedy. That should be enough. Shouldn't you be able to just give up and stop trying to be viral online and be like a voice that people want to hear from and try to be relevant? Shouldn't that be the last thing on your mind? Shouldn't you be okay with just podcasting and doing stand-up instead of trying to record videos or you're trying to viral bait? Shouldn't you? The reason why I say that is because Charlamagne the God, of all people who's experienced all types of success over the last few years, even he is considering when he's going to quit the Breakfast Club. Even he is considering it. So if Charlamagne can consider quitting one thing to pursue other things or go into a whole new other chapter of his life, why can't Bryan Callen?
Chapter 9 in your book, before we leave.
Yes. Can I do one question before?
Yes, please.
How many more years of the Breakfast Club?
Ooh, the hard-hitting
great
questions.
I don't know. I mean, you really don't know. Like you. How many more years you want to do it? I got a number. I definitely. I personally have a number, but it's not even just Breakfast Club. It's just being talent. Period.
Is that a financial number? Or is that a year?
No. It's not a financial number. It's just like I like being behind the scenes a lot more nowadays.
I remember you telling me that at MSG, and that was interesting. Is that what you see yourself transitioning to after you get out? Is just
I mean, I'm doing that now. Like, I mean, I'm
like full time.
Yeah, I'm executive producing. I got my own book imprint where we putting out other people's books. You got me and Kevin Hart got the company SBH Productions with Audible. We're executive producing all of that audio scripted content that's going to turn into documentaries and movies and stuff in the future. I'm getting in the movie game in a real way, like that.
What was that movie you did?
88. That's a political thriller. But I got another movie play that's going.
What do you like?
Talk about that?
Not yet.
What do you like more about being behind the scenes?
Empowering other people, watching other people get their shit off, watching other people become, these great entities that people.
So you enjoy watching
and fuck with.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Charlamagne is obviously a huge name, a huge star, and has way more branding, marketing, earning potential, power than the Bryan Callen does. Fair play. But there has to come a point when you're those type of people, when you're around the JRV verse, when you're around the Bapper verse, there has to be an end point. There has to be a point where you feel like, okay, I've done enough, I've said enough, I want to either pull back a bit, whereas maybe you stop doing pods and you just do stand-up, because that's also possible. Or you just stop being a social media figure, like in that way, where you're putting up clips and you're trying to get yourself viral on TikTok, you're trying to go viral on IG Reels, you're trying to do all the stuff that people are doing when they're coming up. You're now trying to do when you're 60. Bryan's like 60, maybe approaching 70 soon, and you're still trying to be relevant. You're still trying to compete with like Matt Rife and shit. You have to be okay with giving up and moving on to other things. Now, don't get me wrong. Bryan Callen probably doesn't have a lot of things to move on to. That might be another thing. but there should be something in your mind, in your brain, in the way you move that should tell you, oh, I want to have a timeout, because you can't tell with these guys. There's nothing that tells me from Bryan, Callen, or Brendan how they act and how they do their pods. You don't get any semblance of an indication that they have an exit plan. I don't think either of them I don't think either of them know what they're gonna do. If podcast one goes belly up, which is possible considering the fucking stock price, if podcast one was to go belly up, and they were to find it extremely difficult to find another podcast sponsorship partner company that could give them the same, beneficial, advantageous, very one-sided splits that they are kind of fortunate enough to have with podcast one, if that was to all go away, I don't think they'd have any idea on what they would do, because their AdSense couldn't look after them. We've seen all the view stats numbers on the Fire and the Kid that people have been sharing. There's no way they could sustain keeping that studio open and paying everybody with the AdSense money that they get. So they rely a lot on fucking sponsorship. So if sponsorship goes away, if they're suddenly not relevant enough to, or suddenly not worthy enough of getting those deals or whatever it may be, I don't think they have an exit plan. I really don't think they have an exit plan. And that's a scary thing, because these guys have been around for ages, bro. They've been around at the beginning of the podcast boom. Bryan has been around probably before the beginning of the podcast boom. He was streaming with fucking Rogan when Rogan was streaming on Justin.tv. Like, he's been there from the day dot. He doesn't have his own podcast that's really blowing up, really, with the exception of this new YouTube channel that Bryan Callen's got that's doing some numbers. But all these years, he doesn't have a podcast as big as Rogan's. He's never had a special on a major streaming platform, and he's hitched his entire career on the fucking wagon of Brendan Schaub, who's a failing stock at the moment. Why don't they have exit plans? Why isn't there ever a route out? Why isn't there an option to just quit or to just pause? Why does it always have to just continue until they fucking drive the fucking bus into the ground? It's so bizarre to me. Again, Charlamagne isn't the best option, isn't the best example. I know he's super successful. He's got his own niche. He's a black guy, blah, blah, blah. He's got radio. I get it. But even he's considering quitting one of the most successful radio shows in fucking recent history, in The Breakfast Club. Even though The Breakfast Club is probably going to come to its end as well. You got, DJ Envy has his looming case with that flipping houses thing going on. Angela Yee left. This new girl probably isn't putting up as much numbers as Angela Yee was. The Breakfast Club isn't what it once was. The interviews don't garner the same amount of reception or notoriety or virality they did in the past. I understand that. But even if that's the case, Charlamagne, if he wanted to, could easily earn a good living from Breakfast Club, just turning up and doing a job. They're fucking, all over the country anyway, as it is. He doesn't need to quit it, but even he's considering, you know what, maybe I have said enough. Maybe I have given enough of my hot takes on radio every day. Maybe I don't need to do this until the end of time. Maybe taking a step back, maybe quitting before I'm fired because my numbers are not what they used to be, might be the most graceful way to go out of it. But these comedians, there is never an end point. It's just keep on going until the fucking wheels fall off. I don't fucking get it.
No, I don't, Andrew. I feel the Diddy joke. I feel it.
I never said. I just said you enjoy watching. What do you feel?
I know you said you felt Diddy. Like, what do you feel?
What do you feel, Charlamagne?
Guys, this has been Flagrant. Make sure you go out and get Honest or Die Lying. Charlamagne's third book. Go get it right now. We love you, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for all the game over the years.
But to be fair to Brendan and Bryan, it must be kind of gut-wrenching to see what's going on, especially if you're Bryan. You came into podcasting or stand-up way earlier, before Schultzy. These guys are experiencing a level of success that Brendan and Bryan have probably never experienced. Brendan and Bryan probably got the rub of the podcasting, but when it comes to stand-up, when it comes to money, when it comes to exposure, when it comes to fame, these newer guys, the Schultz, the Shane Gillis generation of comedians, they're experiencing the fruits that these guys have never experienced. That's probably why Bryan was like nearly having a breakdown when he saw the whole roast of Tom Brady, Netflix is a joke stuff, and he wasn't invited because it's like they've been LA, they've been Abbott Kinney, they've been fucking downtown LA, they've been in Hollywood adjacent from the get-go, and they have never experienced what these guys have experienced. And they do the same thing on paper. On paper, they all sit in front of Shure microphones, they all sit in front of SLRs. They all sit in front of red cameras, light boxes, ring lights, spotlights. They all do the exact same thing. They upload on YouTube. They upload on Spotify, Apple. Technically, they do the same thing, but the fruits, the rewards are not the same. Boo hoo hoo. Boo hoo motherfucking who. Okay, moving on from that one. Let's talk about YURY and RYLEE. Let's talk about YURY and RYLEE. Have you guys heard about what's going on with YURY and RYLEE? Please tell me you've heard of what's going on with YURY and RYLEE. So, the meme that's existing at the moment is that there's been some sort of soft breakup. And the soft breakup is relating to RYLEE going back to her family who live in San Francisco. She went back, I don't know what for the exact reason, but she went back and hasn't been seen back on stream for like a month, it feels like. And YURY hasn't really mentioned on stream. He's been kind of coy about it. And in the last few days, he has let slip that he would want to move away. He wants to take time away from streaming as much, maybe not putting his life on camera as much, all these little weird things. And obviously that could be a consequence of the recent Lush One and Comparada beef where they turned up to his house and they turned up with, you know, they turned up to fucking, you know, to throw hands and shit after YURY had said some not so nice things about Compa and Lush on his stream. YURY obviously hid underneath the desk and waited until Potlord and his goon came and kind of helped him. But all of that fucking beef, all of that fucking issues, plus of course the way YURY has treated RYLEE on stream has led people to believe that maybe there's some friction there. I personally don't think so. I think they're codependent. I also think they're oddly matched in a way, even though they're very destructive and hurtful and bad for each other. I feel like RYLEE is not going to let go of YURY anytime soon, and vice versa. YURY's not going to let go of RYLEE anytime soon. But the fact that she's left and went to San Francisco and hasn't come back since, and YURY's been on his home, in his apartment streaming, and she hasn't been there, and it hasn't seemed like she's made any rush to come back home, is making me believe that maybe the family have done the right thing and stepped in and had an intervention with her. Maybe she had time to sit down with her parents, time to sit down with extended family members, siblings, actual real friends who don't do the internet, real well-adjusted human beings who have said, hey, you need to move away from this dude. This dude's kind of toxic. He's changing you for the worse. Maybe some of them have went on the No Jumper subreddit. They've seen the memes that people have been posting, doing the before and after pictures of like how RYLEE used to look before she met YURY in the beginning stages, and nowadays when she's looked all bloated and puffy faced and high and just unkept and not really looking after herself as a young lady doesn't really make any sense. It looks like she's kind of depressed because of something as well that I read as well on forums, that allegedly another sign of depression is when someone doesn't take too much care of themselves. And especially if you're a young lady, especially an attractive one, it's usually maybe a sign of your mental state if you go out of your way to kind of look very kind of like unappealing and almost trampy in kind of the way you look. So with all that being said, YURY actually got on stream recently and said the following regarding his new outlook on streaming and what he wants to do, because he's currently, guess where YURY is at currently now? He's in San Francisco. He actually drove up to San Francisco to maybe hang out with RYLEE, to save their relationship, to maybe just hang out with his friend, who knows. But he did say a very interesting thing during his live stream on his YouTube/Kick account that somebody clicked here from the No Jumper subreddit. That's very interesting. It might give us an insight into what the current state is of their relationship. But it does seem like they're still together, but maybe RYLEE has told YURY, hey, I've got some conditions. If we stay together, I've got some conditions of how we go forward, because I can't go back to where we were previously.
It's just like, yeah, I'm not going to be bringing anyone over there, basically. Other than, like, very, very close friends, you know what I mean? Like, unless it's, like, you're, like, Popo, House Phone, Blasey, Paul Lord. Or, like, I don't know, someone, like, actually fucking, like, know. It's, like, I'm not gonna... If I was living by myself, it'd be fuck it. You know what I mean? It'd be like, fuck it. But it's like, I'm not living by myself. It's like, I don't want RYLEE to fucking deal with fucking the bullshit that, like, you know, my streams can bring along with it. And it's just like, I'm like, bro, no, that's not cool.
And I love how he never blames his own behavior for this. It's not his streams bring the drama, it's his behavior. He never considered RYLEE's feelings Rylee's emotional state, how, you know, just Rylee's family, her friends, anytime he got on stream and derided her, gaslit her, teased her, never stopped arguing, kept bickering, kept being petty, would never move on, would never just let bygones be bygones on stream. He never considered that once. Then obviously the internet picked up on it, started obviously teasing them both, but in general it's his own decisions. It's his inability to stop being a fucking dweeb on camera and to stop being so argumentative that has led to the issues that they're currently having on stream. Nothing to do with the fucking commenter. Obviously, some people online with the TTSs aren't the nicest, but you could always turn it off. He doesn't need to have his girlfriend on camera all the time if she doesn't want to be on camera. He turns the camera on all the time. He goes into a reaction. He doesn't let stuff go. He doesn't listen to, even his own stream chat takes the piss out of him and tells him to leave the girl alone. He doesn't leave her alone. But now that she's run away and she's showing signs that she might leave, he's suddenly now considering her feelings.
Who wants to deal with the stress of all the other bullshit? It's like, no more randoms, no more weirdos, no more crackheads. Just respectable human beings.
Now he doesn't want to invite randoms to his house. Now no more randoms or weirdos are allowed at the YURIY household. And it's too little too late. It's just too little too late. He should have done this a long time ago. He didn't. And now his relationship is maybe on the rocks. And this is why he's decided to make this change. But it literally might be a little bit too late. It literally might be a little bit too late. It really might be a little bit too late. But there's also some really interesting hints here as to what's going on. This is another post here, courtesy of the No Jumper subreddit, where YURIY kind of cryptically hints that there is an update that's concerning Rylee and the future of the stream happening very soon. He hasn't spoken about it, but I do get the feeling that something has happened behind the scenes where maybe she's told him, hey, if I'm going to come back, I've got some conditions, and here they are. So let's play this clip, because I feel that this one's another interesting one to kind of round out what's going on with these two fucking losers.
I might be able to update you guys like with what's happening like on Instagram. I just don't feel comfortable saying it now because I don't know how people are going to feel.
Why not just not say it at all? So he wants to update people on Instagram because maybe he feels like the Instagram community is smaller. You won't get a lot of people clipping it. But the need for friendship or the need to share your updates of your relationship or your current status of your streams with people that you don't know is bizarre anyway in the first place. And if you've got to a point now where your girlfriend had to move away to kind of get away from you in a way, had her family step in, and now your relationship is really at jeopardy, why don't you just like forget updating the fucking stream? You don't owe them anything. Just do a relationship separately, sort out the stream separately, and keep it moving. But he doesn't. He wants everything. He wants to be able to stream with his girlfriend online. He wants to be able to have real experiences, argue with her, tease her, drive her fucking crazy, and then have the chat, laugh and go to this girl and make her feel like nothing, and then everyone fucking loses. But this is a surefire sign to me that the relationship is on fucking tender hooks, and more than likely, you know, it's not gonna fucking last that long, really. And I don't think he realizes it, to be fair. He's probably very delusional about the whole thing, but the fact that she went away and hasn't really made an effort to come back is a sign that, you know, it's not a good sign. These are the memes people have been sharing on the No Jumper subreddit. This is a fucking great one, by the way. Look what this person shared. It's a post that features YURIY driving to San Francisco, as you can see there. And in the next post, Rylee's face, kind of scared that he's going to arrive very soon. Oh no, oh fucking no, YURIY's fucking coming. And in the next post, an illustration of YURIY with that horrible new haircut that he has, and Rylee looking very distraught in that fucking, you know, artistic interpretation of what she would look like when she sees YURIY with that new trim coming through her house door in San Francisco. Absolutely shocking state of affairs, sad to see, but it's also proof that maybe all of that gaslighting, all of that horrible behavior has an end point. You can't just fuck around, you know, and fuck over. You can't just fuck around like that with your girlfriend forever and her family not notice and it be okay. eventually it will come to a point where some grown-ups will step in and they'll be like, you know what, enough is enough. We can't have this guy, you know, making our daughter look fucking crazy out here. We can't be having it. We really can't be having it. And it looks like the end is about to come for those two. And to be honest, he deserves it. He fucking deserves it. It's funny too, because he was the one that was gloating online, talking about, oh man, everyone wants my girlfriend. Everyone wants her. It's like, well, you won't even have her in a minute. If you don't fix up, even you won't have her. So you better fucking get yourself in order, mate, because you keep gloating that you've got this girl that you think everyone wants, but now she's fucking run away and you might not have her at all. And there's another update here, a very interesting update. Look at this update. Anyone notice RYLEE has unfollowed Blasey and House Phone? So allegedly, again, I don't know how much I believe this, because the No Jumper subreddit people are very devious. So I'm not sure how much I believe this, because who actually keeps an eye on fucking RYLEE's followers? Like, that's, I don't know. I'm a little bit losery with this, you know, coverage anyway of these fucking redacts, but I don't know if there's anybody out there that's really fucking, you know, inspecting who fucking RYLEE G follows and doesn't follow. But someone did, allegedly, according to the No Jumper subreddit, and they said, you know, beforehand she was following Blasey and House. No, her followers are Blasey and House Phone, or Blasey at least, and now she doesn't follow any of those. So I don't know if she'd never followed them and they always followed her, but it looks like she doesn't follow either Blasey or House Phone. I don't know. Again, this could be nothing or something, who knows, but the fact that Yuri's out in LA now basically stalking his current girlfriend is making me believe that there's maybe some truth into it. And the fact that Yuri's been acting so coy about what's going on, he's not really mentioning RYLEE's name too much, or no, he's not really mentioning too much details about what RYLEE's up to and shit, is making me believe that maybe something has occurred and something's gone on, and maybe RYLEE's like, you know what, fuck all your friends, fuck everybody you hang around with, fuck your community, fuck everybody, I fucking hate them, which might have to do with what's going on here. But some of the memes are fucking brilliant. Look at this meme. Yuri snuck into RYLEE's window and now he's hiding underneath her computer desk, and it's got an illustration or a AI kind of generated image of Yuri under a desk holding a knife with some rope and shit, ready to fucking abduct his current girlfriend, which is hilarious. The memes on fucking Yuri are fucking brilliant with this whole fucking affair. There's even this post too, which is really fucking petty. I'm not too sure if this is in line with what's going on, but Adam22 posted on his Instagram story and tagged RYLEE. He put the stalking hotline. He took a screenshot of the stalking hotline and tagged RYLEE, Yuri's girlfriend, on there. Help create a stalking safety plan. We're here to support you. Call us at 1-800-7999-SAFE. Fucking hilarious. So everybody's kind of leaning into this current meme that's going on, that Yuri drove all the way to San Francisco to stalk and maybe abduct his fucking current girlfriend, or maybe ex-girlfriend, or maybe try and recover the relationship. And there's another post as well that said 1:20 a.m. RYLEE G stopped replying at 11:30 p.m. and it features a picture of fucking Yuri in the Airbnb doing shots. Again, I know some of you guys do this, and I mentioned for on the stream, but there's something very pussified and almost bitch made about taking your shots like this. Yuri standing up and he's taking a shot with one hand, and he's got the chaser in another hand, like, because he can't handle the aftertaste, I'm assuming, and he's literally holding them both up to his face like he's going to be sipping them from both corners of his mouth. I think that's such a pussified, lame, dorky way of fucking taking a shot. If you're going to take a shot, take the fucking shot. If you're going to do the chaser, but having them both right up close to your mouth is like, fucking hell, how much of a baby can you be? But again, maybe I'm being a little bit too picky and redacted about that myself. Who fucking knows? That's a really good meme. And there's another one too I want to show you, which is this particular one. Again, big up the No Jumper subreddit people once more. This is a really funny one. This is someone taking a screenshot of the latest Yuri stream, which is currently on YouTube, by the way. Yuri is not on Kick exclusively anymore because he got kicked off the Kick incentive creator plan like a fucking idiot. He was making good money from that shit, but he got kicked off it because of a dumb mistake that he made, where I think on the Kick incentive plan, where you get paid per hour, you're not allowed to do sleeping streams. They don't count as streams. If you do that, you get kicked off immediately. And obviously Yuri did it because he's a fucking loser and lazy, and now he's complaining, and now he's back on YouTube essentially. And the caption says Yuri can't even afford an Airbnb. He's staying in a home of a random dude called Popo. So, you know when Yuri was going around the country traveling with RYLEE, flexing on everybody on the internet, acting like they were balling out, going and staying in all these amazing Airbnb, nice hotels. Well, he can't do that anymore. Now he's staying with some random dude who he looks like he met in a hostel. And, the whole fucking climate of that stream has completely changed. So, stormy times ahead for stormy times ahead for Yuri and RYLEE. And you know what? It probably can happen to a better couple. And I hope it all kind of ends in fucking fire flames, to be fair, because they'll be fucking fun for me to watch and for me to talk about with you lovely people on the stream. Moving on. So let's play this clip. This clip features Bobby Lee on the George Janko podcast apologizing to George Janko about this alleged sexual assault thing. So I spoke about this before on the stream, but allegedly George Janko on one episode of his podcast had that guy Mike on from Logan Paul's podcast, another ex-colleague of George when he used to be on Logan Paul's pod, and he was talking about all the grievances he had with Logan Paul and his bad experience and blah blah blah. And during that process, a clip went viral that featured George Janko essentially saying that he felt like Bobby Lee, when he was on that episode once, that made George Janko kind of leave mid-episode because he felt like he was being attacked or being overlooked or whatever. He felt like in that episode Bobby Lee sexually assaulted him, and he was very annoyed by that. And of course that was a bit viral. It went kind of crazy online, and of course I made a flipping comment about it saying like, if you let Bobby Lee sexually assault you, you probably deserved it. And I also was very perturbed that he would kind of mention it so many months after it actually happened. He didn't seem to have an issue with it at the time, whatever it may be, but obviously it was a serious thing to him at the point. Then all of a sudden a picture goes viral that features Bobby Lee taking a selfie with George Janko, and you're like, hold on, if you actually did get sexually assaulted by somebody, the last thing you'd want to do is record a podcast with them, right? They violated you, they disrespected you, and whatever it may be, you don't want to record a podcast with them. But obviously he did. So it made me think, was this all a big clout game? And now we have the evidence that yes, it was a big clout game, because now they have an entire episode edited together, which happens to be episode number 69. And which also happens to be them trying to talk it through. But from what I've been able to surmise from the other clips I've seen of this particular episode, it doesn't actually seem like George Janko actually had an issue with Bobby Lee sexually assaulting him. It almost seems like he said what he said to Mike during the episode just because he was upset. He was just trying to look for an angle to be like the victim or something, but he didn't actually feel like he got sexually assaulted or got violated in any kind of meaningful way. Because if he did, I don't think any man would want to sit down with their sexual abuser and have a fucking podcast. Maybe if you had to sit down in a courtroom, it's a different story, mediation for some sort of fucking whatever else happened. But to sit on a pod and kiki and ha wouldn't make any sense. I don't think any man with balls between their fucking legs would ever do this. So I feel like this is all a play. Let's watch the video anyway and react to it and see how these guys dealt with this weird issue that isn't an issue and is an issue.
So George, we'll talk about other things, but I want to open up by saying that I'm sorry. I feel I just want to break down what happened with the Jake Paul podcast.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I usually do podcasts in my ecosystem, right? So it's like I know the rhythms.
Oh, by the way, another caveat, by the way, there seems to be a current narrative. I don't know who Bobby Lee upset. I don't know which agent he didn't pay. I don't know which hooker he didn't pay. Something's happening in the zeitgeist where it feels like everybody's starting to like attack Bobby for being like a bit handsy, for being a bit creepy and all this malarkey. I think too, to try and made a video about him. I think other YouTubers have also made videos about him. There's one particular YouTuber made a video about him, but then I think deleted it. I think it was Umpaville or somebody. I forgot who it was. I was trying to watch it, but then I tried to go back to it and I couldn't find it. So I think they deleted it. But there seems to be a current thing going on, trend, where everyone's releasing clips of Bobby being creepy. Before it was seen as funny, but now in the new light, it's kind of being seen as, oh, this guy's overstepping the mark. This guy's being overly familiar. This guy is a rapist. This guy's a rapist, a sexual abuser, whatever it may be. So this is part of the reason why this clip is somewhat, necessary for nowadays.
And I know what I can and can't say, and generally, everything, is people are pretty open to. They know who I am, right? But with you guys, I didn't know, so I came. And also, it's a huge platform. So I was like super nervous. So, you know, I tend to get bullyish and out of survival. Okay.
And you looked at the weak calf. I get it, dude.
You're not a weak calf.
No, I get it, dude. I get it, dude. I would do the same.
I'm already disgusted. I'm only a minute in. I'm already disgusted. This nigga is so desperate for fame. Like, because bless George Janko, he's been in the game for a while. He's been in Hollywood for a very long time. Or he's been trying to get in Hollywood for a very long time. From music career to podcasting, comedy. He's tried fucking everything. And now he's finally got something that's sticking, that's landing with this podcasting he's got going on. And he's just seeing the light. He's seeing all the possibilities. And he's so desperate. Like, because who else would let somebody get away with doing what he accused Bobby Lee of doing to him, unless you have clout, unless you have fame, unless you have money? How else could you ever get away with that with another man? It doesn't make any sense. Even for fame, I could never do this. I could never let myself get embarrassed and, you know, like he's literally giddy that he sat down with Bobby again, because this is like a redemption thing. Everyone's going to watch it. It's going to do numbers. It's like, bro, don't you have any fucking dignity?
Same thing. If I saw him, no, you can't eat him.
Okay.
Stop.
So anyway, I can get a taste.
Save my dog. Get him out of here.
He'd be so delicious, though.
Dude,
I just took his tongue.
I saw you lick him before he licked you.
Yeah. God.
And Bobby would obviously never laugh at something like that. He's obviously laughing on the joke and trying to make something of it because he wants to make light. He wants to obviously get this fucking apology out and be back in the good grace of this guy, not ruin his Hollywood career, because Bobby's got a lot to lose too. Bobby's in a really good place career-wise. He's landing new TV roles, new movies every fucking day. Seems like he's getting a new movie announced. Animated series of fucking Bad Friends with Andrew Santino's in the works. He's got a lot to lose now. He acts very nonchalant and whatever, but his career is actually going places right now. The worst possible time for Bobby Lee to get cancelled will be now. So I get why he's doing this, but it's George Janko. Come on, bro.
No MSG or anything. I love it. But anyway, so when I...
Yeah, of course, Joe from MIA. If this sexual assault thing didn't happen, Bobby Lee wouldn't be in this podcast. No way, Jose, would he be on this podcast. He's only on here because he wants to save his career. He doesn't want anyone to fucking think of him as a fucking rapist or a diddler. So he's obviously going to be on here to try to, you know, he's going to try to do what he can do to fucking, you know, damage limitation type of thing.
Number one, I do so many podcasts. I don't even remember what I said or did or didn't do. I remember moments. And also, secondly, when you walked off the set, I literally was confused by it. I don't know the drama behind the podcast. You know, I know that you had written this speech.
I wish I had writers for it.
Right? And, you know what I mean? I thought the comedy instinct was to say that it was like boring or whatever, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And the third thing is that, and I truly don't remember, and it is on brand, but I don't remember ever trying to touch you. But if I did that...
On brand. Imagine your brand being that you touch people without asking. Imagine being on brand is that you push the line of where somebody's, you know, overly familiar and kind of creepy. Imagine that being part of your brand. It helps that he's like an adult stuck in a kid's body, because Bobby Lee's like 50 years old. He's like Bryan Callen age. So it's not really cute, you know? Maybe because he looks like a teddy bear, he looks like a doll, but you couldn't get away with this if you're a black dude, could you? I don't think even a white dude can get away with this. All right? Actually, that fucking who's that guy? That guy that's always getting fucking done for touching guys. He hasn't got away with this. So maybe it's lucky that Bobby Lee's sober, and it's lucky that he's a cuddly Asian dude, because anybody else, you wouldn't have a career if you were known to like go on TV shows and sit on women's laps and kiss them without their permission, and put your hands on their knees and hug them and all this sort of shit. Yeah, Andy Dick. Exactly, Andy Dick. Andy Dick is a white guy who does the same thing that Bobby Lee does. A blight with a bit more, you know, help from the Class A's and shit. And look what happened to his career.
I literally don't remember, but if I did that, I'm sorry. I do it for comedy reasons.
Comedy reasons.
I don't know anything about your...
That's what Crystalia says. I messaged that 16-year-old girl for comedy reasons. allegedly slept with that 15-year-old for comedy reasons. I splooged all over the chest of that 17-year-old allegedly for comedy reasons. I forced that 18-year-old down my fucking, on her knees, allegedly for fucking comedy reasons. You gotta love that, comedy reasons.
Religion or who you are. In fact, I didn't really know who you. I know who you are now, but I didn't really know who you were, and I.
Offensive.
But with all that being said, I really truly apologize. I love people.
This is like the version of like when racists get found out and they say, I love people. I don't see color. I love basketball. Kendrick Lamar's one of my favorite artists. Not like us. They're not like us. I love people. I just love women. I love to fuck women. I'm not gay. I'm not gay anymore.
I love podcasting, and I think that you're a voice that people talk about now, and
Oh, he's finding it hard to find credit and to give him a good compliment. You're a voice that people seem to like. You have a beard. You have a nice smile.
I mean, you're here, and I just apologize. It's like
thank you, bro.
I'm sorry.
All joking aside,
seriously,
for real, I really appreciate that. Can I tell you what really, really hurt me though? I ain't Ringo, bro.
He's like, bro, I know I sexually assaulted you, and I'm on here doing a fucking shame tour, an apology tour to kind of save my career, which is actually a career. I'm going to actual places. I'm on Netflix. I'm on fucking major, streaming platforms. I'm doing shows with TV companies and all this malarkey. I probably got adverts and brand deals coming out of my ass. That's why I'm on this podcast. Not because I think you're a peer. Not because I think you're funny. Not because I think we're colleagues. Just because I want to apologize to save my blossoming career. Not because I think you're good or I think you're funny. Don't try to run bits by me now, motherfucker. I don't think you're funny. Look at him. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You're George Martin.
No, do you know what I'm talking about or not?
No, but with you, you mean with you?
You called me Ringo.
I know. So who are you, George Harrison in that?
I'm George Janko.
Okay, you're George Janko.
Oh my God, what the fuck is going on here? I'm not Ringo. So you're not, so which one are you then? I'm George, what?
But so I referred to you as Ringo in that podcast.
That was the only thing that hurt me. I was like, I feel like I'm not Ringo. I feel like I'm.
Well, I mean,
it's actually a compliment to think you're Ringo. You're not even fucking Ringo. It's actually a compliment to think you're Ringo. You wonder girls in the back that's like nodding their heads.
Not John Lennon.
Get out.
No. In terms
get
of
out.
Between you,
you don't want him to get out. You don't want him to get out. You're there because you want to put him in a thumbnail. You want the views. Like, you don't want him to get out. Let's be real.
No. Between all of them, yeah. I'm definitely John Lennon.
Oh, you really?
I know.
So who's Ringo? Who's Paul?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I was just making a reference to a band, but okay, I get what you're doing.
Logan Paul is Paul.
Oh, Logan Paul. Oh, Paul. Logan Paul. And Mike?
The groupies.
Whoa. He just did this, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's be serious. Bobby,
this is a different side to you, dude. You really got to make me mad.
Bobby,
how do you laugh like that when you're not really laughing? There has to be a skill in itself, right? How do you laugh like that when you're not actually even laughing? You're just making noises with your mouth. It's almost like Bert Kreischer, isn't it? You're just making noises, but you're not actually laughing.
I knew exactly who you were. And I said this on the episode with Mike, and I'll say it again in front of you. Oh, I do appreciate your apology. If it was me and you and we were just messing around and we were like having a podcast and you kept grabbing me because I know your comedy, I wouldn't be bothered by it. I know who you are, I know your comedy, I've seen your podcast. What bothered me on that episode was my friends weren't being friends.
They didn't back you.
They didn't back me, bro.
Yeah.
They saw that I was actually going through things and they stepped on me when I was down.
Yeah, because you don't deserve to anyone to back you. You're a fucking loser, mate. You're a fucking loser. You're lucky you have friends. Of course you shouldn't back you. Come on. God almighty, man. This guy is so unbelievably annoying. It really doesn't bother beggars believe how annoying this guy is. Jesus Christos. But anyway, what can you do? What can you do? Boobity 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 bop 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 bop. Biggity 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 bop 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 bop. 1 second. Bear with me a second here. Let's put this on thing. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, and we're back. Apologies for the interruption. Let's go. Okay, cool. Let's continue here. Bear with me a second. Okay, so we did that George Janko nonsense episode. Again, there's not much more to say about that as a conclusion. George Janko is a fucking dweeb. Judging by what he said on this particular episode, I get the feeling that there really wasn't an issue between the both of them. I feel like maybe he was trying to make a problem because he probably was scrambling to look for a reason to be a victim when he was on the pod with fucking Mike. Maybe that Mike guy was calling some things out, making it obvious that he wasn't a victim, and that kind of got to him. And in the scramble to try to prove that he was a victim, he then kind of pulled a point out of his ass that he got sexually assaulted, but he didn't really get sexually assaulted, because anyone that gets sexually assaulted could never sit on a podcast with somebody and be smiling and keying and showing all their teeth during a pod like this. It doesn't make any sense. So to me, I feel like that event was blown out of proportion. Clearly George Janko used it as a way to be a victim for his own benefit. Essentially it worked because he got a lot of sympathy for it, because people thought he was actually the victim of some sort of sexual abuse. And then when you actually looked into it a bit deeper, you saw that he was obviously playing everybody for fools, and you're obviously using it as a way to kind of, you know, to kind of suck up to Bobby, get him on his podcast, and then of course help his pod get to where it needs to get to. Very unashamed attempt to get basically more clout and more fame out of the situation, and that's basically it. So fuck this guy and everything he fucking stands for. He's a fucking loser. He really is a fucking loser. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. I don't know anything of what I'm talking about. So let's continue on from this. Another clip that I want to show you here. I've shown you that one, the YURIY one. Let's also show you this one. This is an interesting clip. This features Adam22 on the No Jumper show, or No Jumper channel, whatever No Jumper show it is. I don't know what episode this is or what show this is, because he's cancelled a few of them. Adam22 is asking for some help from his fans. Are you going to help Adam22 think of some new shows that he should be creating for No Jumper. This is Adam22 asking his fans for some help. Listen to his plea.
I would like people to drop comments where they basically let us know if you could envision a weekly No Jumper show with a combination of different hosts, who would you want to see together?
I'm not gonna lie, maybe I'm in the minority here because I'm very toxic and very, independent and kind of like, dogmatic in the shit that I do, or just for the better, for the sake of it, because I watch a lot of content. I really despise when content creators try and crowdsource ideas for shows and shit. It really isn't that deep. Like, just think of some things yourself. That's what you are there to do as the entertainer, as the streamer, as the creator, as the presenter, as whatever you're doing. Think of some stuff, do it, and then see what fucking sticks. Asking your fans to do your job for you, you're not going to pay them. Sometimes you're not going to listen to what they say and you're going to do your own thing anyway, is really, is really insulting of their time, is really insulting of their attention. And if anything, it kind of shows a lack of creativity, a lack of imagination, and a lack of hustle really in your own mind. Like, why can't you think of an idea? You thought of this big brained idea of letting everybody go in the first place, and now you're asking your fans for help for ideas for shows, for lineups and stuff. Wouldn't you have this already done before you fired everybody? So again, it's showing weird signs of a lack of direction. As I've always said, I think Adam22 is definitely a good visionary in terms of having No Jumper as a platform, in terms of going from BMX to fucking hip hop and shit, and interviewing all these SoundCloud rappers, all this shit he did. He's amazing. He deserves all the credit and the props for it. But let's be serious and let's be fair here. Adam22, when it comes to managing his channel, his platform, leading it, spearheading it, useless. He probably does need somebody to work day to day in terms of managing that shit, knowing how to program it, who to put on as host, what shows to have, when they're on, how often they're on. Because when it comes to all that running of the stuff, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to manage people. He doesn't know how to really lead a company and really do the day-to-day stuff. But maybe overall vision, he definitely has. But everything else, he's kind of useless at. Hence why we have this fucking weird segment. Like, hey, give me some ideas on what shows I should do. It's like, bruh, why can't you sit down and think of some shows yourself? You have plenty of time, don't you? You don't really do much. Now that all the shows are done, you're not doing interviews, you're not doing podcasts. What else are you doing if you're not doing plug talk? Looking after your kid, cool. All right, but you got loads of other time outside of that to do stuff. Why can't you think of the stuff yourself? Honestly, absolutely egregious how weirdly he's fumbled everything when he didn't need to fumble it in this way. Yes, I understand Tiro, AD, all those guys leaving was a big blow. They were a big part in rejuvenating No Jumper, because No Jumper was kind of lost before those guys came about. But let's also be real, it wasn't that difficult to like not try and compete with those ex guys, or maybe try and keep them on board, or maybe just try and have a couple of shows that are running at the same time while also doing the news and all that. Like, those things were working. Like, just hunker down and on the things that work, and then do away with the things that don't. Firing everybody in some big brained effort to appear like an Elon Musk or something, like you've got an idea of what you want to do, you thought 10 steps ahead. You haven't really, because here you are on stream asking people for ideas. He made it seem like he was this big executive that had a long-term vision, plan. Oh, if you guys are seeing what people like me I'm doing, you don't understand it, just rest assured that there's a rhyme and a reason for everything I do, and you're gonna realize why I did it. It's like, why did you do it then? Where are the shows? Where are these new interviews? Where are they? Where are these new, like, what's going on here? Nothing. Exactly. Absolutely useless, absolutely pointless. And it's dumb as well, because it's not even like he has tough competition, right? But the only person that really knows what they're doing within that FMW world, I feel like, is Pun, ironically, even though he's the one that people credit as the one that's kind of led to the downfall of AD. Pun's really the only person within that kind of conglomerate of people that really knows what he's doing and has a good idea, directional, how he wants to kind of grow his platform and what to do next. He's not really competing with much, and he's still failing. He's not even competing with much. He's not even battling against much, and he's still fucking failing. It goes to show that maybe the early success of No Jumper wasn't really based on what Adam was doing, but just based on the fact that he was the only platform around in LA during the time that all these big SoundCloud rappers were blowing up. It all kind of fell in his lap. He fell in his lap having Akeem, fell in his lap having Cam Girl, house phone fell in his lap, no pun intended. Everything fell in his lap, and now suddenly when he has to work and figure shit out, he has no idea what to do, and he's absolutely confudado, however you say fucking confused in fucking Spanish. Anyways, absolutely shocking. Next clip here, we've got a clip here of Brendan Schaub reminding us why he's so unlikable and why people find it very difficult to root for him. This is at the beginning of the recent episode of Firing the Kid. I had to clip this because I thought this was really funny, to kind of show you guys here. Brendan just doing what he does, being Brendan and being very unlikable, and really reminding people that, hey, the chemistry that you once knew and loved on TFATK has been and gone. That chemistry does not exist. Case in point, this clip.
Yes, we did, 'cause we back at it again. It's the fighter and the kid.
This is really the fighter and the kid.
Come on, baby. All right, we're gonna start.
Look at
this
us,
show.
buddy.
I know, dude.
Look at us.
We're gonna start this show.
Dude, I hope your attitude's good. I hope
Came
your
back
energy's
from
good.
Miami, so of course I'm a little
Miami,
tie-tie.
you do look a little tanner. Now we've had how many days off?
The fact that Bryan Callen now lives bi-coastal or now lives part-time in Miami. No, not part-time actually. From what I've led to understand, I think the wife, the mother of his new children, I think she's the one that lives in Miami. And he lives in LA, obviously, to look after his podcasting, whatever career. And obviously to stay closer to his kids. That's kind of wild, because I think in the past he would have never done that because of the demands of his career and being in LA. But it goes to show that business is kind of slowing down because he actually has time to go to Miami and live there and not feel like he has, because these comedians, they always put their career first, but when your career kind of slows down, you have no other option but to hang out with your family. Brendan, case in point.
We've had a number of.
I haven't seen you since last. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 days off from chatting.
Days off. I was at Patrick Bet-David's house, did the podcast.
Love
Our
him.
boy, love him.
That's my boy.
And I bet you they didn't talk within those 6 days. That's the funny thing. They probably told themselves they probably actually never had a conversation within those 6 days. That's a sad reflection of where that's pod and where this harmony, relationships or lack thereof has gone. He went away to Miami, hang out with his family, do a pod with Patrick Bet-David, and him and Papa didn't actually even conversate until they got back on the pod.
He had a Memorial Day party. I had a little lunch at his house, in fact.
Wait, party and lunch?
Yep.
It'd be the same thing though, right?
No, went twice.
Wait, okay.
Went twice.
That's
so
different.
After the podcast.
This is kind of like weird jealousy, which is weird because I feel like that Patrick Bet-David guy, he's a bit of a dweeb, but he seems to actually like Brendan. So it's not even like he couldn't get an invite if he wanted to. If Brendan went out to Miami, he could, but he doesn't. He seems like a bit of a homebody. He's a bit lazy. He likes his creature comforts, but he kind of sounds a bit jealous. He's doing that weird thing that you just do when you tease somebody when you kind of want to do what they want to do. It's like, let him explain his story. You know what I mean? Let's stop cutting him off every 2 seconds. Like I'm cutting you off every 2 seconds.
Podcast went and had myself a little lunch. Now, when you walk into a house like that in Fort Lauderdale on the water with that boat slip and that view, you do this. Ready? You go like this. You go, huh?
I failed.
Money does buy happiness, and I failed.
And I failed. Yes.
And I failed.
Now you do.
The funny thing about them, they could have had all of that stuff that Patrick Bet-David has without the grift, without the scams, and without the hustle, because of how long they've been in podcasting. It's both a blessing and a curse. They've been around podcasting so long, these guys. They've been with Joe Rogan's friends for so long that they're now benefiting from the afterglow, the after effects of being Rogan's friends, despite being shit at what they do. Because if they started this podcast now, they'd be nowhere. But because they started it back then when podcasts there's not many around, and they were one of Rogan's first friends that he kind of put on the big platform and shit and shouted them out, they're still riding that wave, the aftershocks of being Rogan's friends. But the sad thing about it is that nowadays, the people who are doing content now, even without Rogan's stamp, because Patrick Bet-David, he's obviously a scam artist and a grifter, but he's done a lot of his work on his own. He hasn't even done it with Rogan's cosign, and he's still fucking got money coming out of his ass. So when you're Bryan Callen, you go visit him at his house, he's got this fucking, Pablo Escobar mansion that he lives in and shit. You're probably thinking to yourself, hold on, I was doing exactly what he was doing in my own way years before, and look how much richer he is just because of timing, because he's now doing it in an era where there's way more money. now. There's way more eyes on what we're doing, on what this content thing is now. Whereas before, it wasn't the case. And he's like thinking, shit, if only I didn't rape that woman, allegedly.
You know that guy should be the next president of the United States.
Well, I'm a huge fan.
Every time you walk in his house, I want you to bend the knee, right?
Well,
bend
I do.
your goddamn knee.
I do.
By
the other thing I love about it,
I'm sorry about the microphone headphone. I just took my headphones off and it's blowing out the fucking headphones. Chin always fucking redlines this podcast, isn't it? I have to find a way of limiting my, because it's hard, because when I try and play clips, I have the limit, the sound set on a certain level. But then if I do limiter on the clips, it'll mean that the clips that are lower level will then not, I mean, it's weird anyway, but regardless, Chin always redlines the fucking audio. He just puts it all on fucking red. Fucking hell, Chin. Like, allow it, bro. God damn.
He's got his parents living with him, family living. That guy's a family man through and through.
The best.
He's unbelievable.
Absolutely adore him.
And a genuinely good person. Like, genuinely.
The best.
Everybody's got 100 people working for him. Every single one of them loves that guy.
He's the best.
Because, yeah, he's just great.
I would run through a wall for that guy right now.
Yep.
You know, he also owns the Yankees.
Yeah, and he's a partial owner of the, yeah. He's the real deal.
He's recruiting Tiger, no big deal.
Yep. Could
Tiger's 7 or he's 8, so we'll see.
We'll see.
It could be good connection down the road.
Yep.
Hey,
I want to thank
you
the
on the
people.
team, right?
By the way, this whole like this person's a great person thing, I also despise, because it only seems to affect, or it only seems to be something they say about people who have money and have fame. They never say these things about people that aren't famous. They only say these glowing tributes or praises for people who have money. It's never, oh, this guy's amazing who owns his own little local fucking hardware store. This guy's amazing who's got a trucking business. This guy's amazing who runs a fucking daycare. Woman's Radio runs a daycare. It's only guys that have these fucking flashy social media fucking lifestyles that are suddenly the best in the world, and they happen to be their fucking boys. Really? No one has anything bad to say about him. I wonder why. Because he fucking pays everybody that's around him. Anybody that isn't his fucking family, he pays to hang around him. So no wonder they have anything nice to say about him. If I paid to have my own friends, they'd probably have great things to say about me too. And I'm a fucking cunt.
By the way, I want to thank the people at Dania Beach, Miami adjacent, because it ain't Miami.
It's the suburbs.
It's the suburbs. And Memorial Day, you worry that
25.
people aren't going to come out. They came out. And they came out in
they
force.
should come out though. There's like, it's a holiday.
Why is he being such a cunt about this whole thing? Why is he being so dismissive? Why is he being so Because again, think about this with your own friends. Think if you ever had a friend that when you met him up after the weekend, first day at work, on a Monday, your work colleague, and you was describing how your weekend was, and he just kept nitpicking away at what you did. What did that good? But of course it would be good. What, you were surprised the Champions League final was loud? Well, duh, it was a big time. Bro, did you ask, are you interested in what I did on the weekend or not? Or do you just want to have your turn to speak? Why are you so pressed about this? And it's, again, like I said, it's weird because that Patrick Bent David guy, he's Brendan's quote-unquote friend too. He would happily have him around his house. He would happily invite him around his fucking, his spatial home. He's happily invite him to his fucking condominium, right? His compound, right? He's happily have him at the fucking VHQ if he wanted to. So why is he acting like such a cunt when Bryan did it? Is he just jealous that Bryan's more sociable than him? Even though Brendan maybe thinks he's richer and cooler than Brendan, for some reason people seem to actually like to hang around Bryan. Is that why he's so jealous? Like, fucking hell, bro. Just call Patrick Ben David. You'll have you around there.
Hey, I guess at night.
Our boy Colby Covington.
Love him.
He showed up.
Love him.
And he's a sweetheart.
By the way, I hate this narrative. I hate this theme. I hate this talking point. Oh, Colby's actually nice in real life. It doesn't matter, bro. He's a cunt in front of cameras. He's a cunt in front of the lens. He's a cunt in front of, well, he's a cunt when we all see him. We don't all see him behind the scenes. We're not his friends. So this whole narrative, oh, he's actually really nice, he's just playing a character. Well, that's his problem then. Yes, it's benefited his career. Yes, he's probably made a lot of money from it. But unfortunately, his public perception, you only get a chance at a first impression once. To us regular folk that don't know who the fuck he is that he's a bit of an asshole. So stop telling us that he's a nice guy behind the scenes, because we don't know him behind the scenes. He's not a fucking friend. He's not your friend either. You only know him because you fucking somewhat famous. So you wouldn't even know who he really was if you weren't in the position that you were either. We only are going by what we see. I'm sorry. He comes across like a cunt. It is what it is.
You said
I tell you guys this all the time. It's all an act.
That whole thing's an act, but when you're with him.
But I think Brendan likes to latch onto this because his way, in a roundabout way, to say it's all an act, it's all a game, it's all media, to kind of excuse his behavior. That's my thinking. My little theory is that Brendan likes to latch onto this thing to be like, oh, see, people don't like me, but they don't know that behind the scenes, I'm actually really nice. I know I come across like a douche on camera. I know I bully, like, you know, I know I'm a bit of a bully on the camera. I know I fucking harass. I know I'm a fucking, you know, whatever else I am. But actually behind the scenes, I'm a really nice guy. Best guy, great guy, beast of a dad, beast of a comedian, podcaster, husband, or everything in between.
Him alone,
one of the
he's
best
a
people
sweetheart.
you've ever met.
Yes, because I always was like, I don't like that trash talking stuff.
No, bub.
God, is he a sweetheart? And
that'd be like meeting the Undertaker and be like, God, he comes from the underworld.
Right.
Horrendous example. Horrendous example. That's like meeting the Undertaker and not what? Thinking he sleeps in a funeral home. Huh? Thinking he lives in the underworld. What? What kind of analogy was that? That's like meeting the Undertaker and what? Actually, it's a weird example he uses because the Undertaker allegedly is a sweetheart. And you see that on camera. Whenever the Undertaker gets interviewed on pods, he's always fucking amazing. Always got great stories. Always comes across really kind, really sweet, really down to earth. Actually, the whole contrast of how he portrays himself in wrestling, which guess what, is made up. UFC and MMA isn't made up. It's a real sport with real humans and real athletes and real people. But Colby wants to put an act on, be a cunt, and then be like, oh no, behind camera, I'm actually a real nice guy. We don't care. We only see you in front of the cameras, my friend.
You know,
and Thiago Alves came to my show, and he you know, he's a coach. Beat up? He's a coach at American Top Team with Mike Brown, right? He's like Dustin Poirier's coach.
Isn't it so weird that Bryan, for some reason, this old, decrepit, geriatric, nearly, you know, wheelchair-bound comedian is the one that all UFC fighters like hanging around with? Maybe because he does that whole act of like, oh, I love men and muscles and I'm so inferior, I'm a cuck, oh my God, fuck my wife, fuck me, type of thing that he does. But doesn't it really make you laugh that UFC fighters, bodybuilders, all these manly men that Brendan should be around, they actually like hanging around Bryan more than they like hanging around with Brendan? Maybe that's why he's being a meanie in this clip. Maybe that's why he's being a mean girl, as someone's mentioned in the fucking comments. Maybe that's why he's being a mean girl, because deep down he's pissed off and jealous that Bryan went to hang out with Patrick Bet David in his fucking, you know, Florida mansion and hang out with all these fucking athletes and all these fighters and shit, and got shown around and got introduced to fucking crypto kings and shit and scammers and hotties and strippers and drug dealers and all these fucking LARPers and motivational speakers. He's in that fucking crew of grifters, but that Brendan wants to be involved in, and they never invite him. Maybe that's why he's jealous.
And I said, man, Colby's such a sweetheart. And Thiago goes, yeah, he's a doll. He's just like, but when the cameras are on, it's a different thing.
It's a character.
It's a character.
Yeah,
you don't do characters. No one else does a character except for Colby Covington. And look at how it fucking played out for him. No one else does that whole character thing to a level that he does it, and look how it played out to him. Yes, it worked well, short term, got his name out there, made him into a bit of a star, the whole MAGA Trump thing, cool. But after a while, bro, just stop being a dickhead. You can be fucking MAGA fighter if you want, but just stop being a fucking cunt. Is that too hard to do? Clearly you can stop being it, but he clearly is a part of him that is a cunt. But then you have cunts like fucking Brendan backing him up.
Character.
And you said it. You did.
I've told you this for how long?
Yeah.
But he doesn't like me saying that.
How about this? I don't know if you know this. So he's been.
Maybe because he actually is.
In the UFC, Colby Covington's been in the UFC for 11 years. I don't know if you know, but 30 seconds into that Leon Edwards fight, he broke his foot in 3 places.
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, okay. That people were like, well, he didn't look himself. Well, he broke his foot.
No, he said that after he said he broke his foot after the fight. And
yeah.
This is the thing. He mentioned it, he alluded to it, and then of course
everyone's like, yeah.
The internet's like, oh bullshit, blah,
That's
blah,
a real
blah.
excuse. That's a legit excuse.
Oh, now look, One day with Colby Covington, and suddenly you're fucking sucking on his teeth and buying into all the excuses. Whatever. Anyway, you saw the clip. You saw Brendan being a little bit of a sassy, passive-aggressive meano to Bryan Callen just because he hung out with the illustrious Patrick Bet-David and all of his other Miami, Florida fucking goons. Absolutely hilarious. I love when these guys get jealous of each other, especially when it concerns things that really don't matter, you know, really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But Brendan is always going to be a jealous little baby, always going to be a jealous little baby. Moving on from that one, we got another clip here called "Another Week, Another Truck Distraction." This is a funny clip. This is an episode that was filmed recently, which features Brendan getting up from the podcast mid-pod to go and sort out something with his truck. If ever you needed an example as to how far this pod has fallen off, this is an example. I don't think during the heyday of this pod would either of these guys would have been okay. Do you remember back in the day when Bryan would miss episodes because he was doing some sort of fucking film, going to audition for something? Brendan would always give him hassle for it. Bryan would always feel bad about it. He'd always be coy about it and be dancing around the subject. I got a lead, It was like a thing that they never really let each other do too much, right? They kind of had respect for the audience, and it kind of annoyed either of them because it kind of ruined the flow of the pod. Nowadays, Brendan could just get up mid-pod, go and do something at the garage with his car, and then come back like nothing happened. And they leave it in the episode too, by the way. All that fucking nonsense that's happening, Chin doesn't fucking clip it out. They just let it run. It's fucking a good example of how far this pod has fallen off that this is happening, because clearly neither of these guys actually want to be there.
Then that's what you ask your dad. If you blind as shit, you ask your dad.
I asked my father. I asked my father.
Fellas,
my father, I mean,
I want to be about this truck guy. I've been waiting months for this.
What do you got? You got a new truck being delivered right now?
No, I have him pick up my truck, take to Texas.
Oh.
And
okay.
if I miss it, I'm fucked.
As long as it's not the Cybertruck. It's not the Cybertruck, is it?
It's a TRX.
He didn't fuck with electric cars.
I hate electric. We can talk.
That shit's so ugly, dude.
I'm the Tesla guy.
Give me 10 minutes.
Go do your thing.
By the way, the whole politics with Elon, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I love the car, but I hate the Cybertruck. Just aesthetically.
Save it.
Okay.
By the way, the fact that he has to announce it and pause in the middle of it and make this big announcement, so it's a big deal that he's leaving. Hey guys, I'm leaving. I'm leaving, guys. He's the kind of guy when he goes to a party and he leaves, he makes sure that everyone knows he's leaving. Hey guys, I'm leaving now. Guys, I'm going. Hey, Bryan, can you tell the guy that invited us I'm leaving? Like, he's that guy. Just go. But no, he makes a big announcement, does this clunky leaving thing, and Chin, because he's overworked and underpaid, doesn't even have a new MacBook. He doesn't even try to edit this clip out. He just keeps it in. Fuck it. Let's let it run. It makes the pod organic. Why didn't you just edit this bit out? Like, okay, guys, and just cut it when he comes back. But we see this whole bit where Brendan gets up awkwardly from his chair, waddles over to his fucking door. Like, why do we need to see all this shit? Just clip it out. Just clip it to when they come back in the sea again. Or act like it never happened. Nope. Imagine listening to this audio. Imagine. Audio is king, right? Imagine listening to this podcast with your headphones on.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Look at him walking. Look at how dainty.
Dude, I can't leave fucking Lower East Side.
20 minutes later.
Fighters sue and they get rich. It doesn't work.
Yeah, that was the bio of every rich kid.
But so for you, you feel like that the hustle never stops for you.
It never ends, man.
So that's a.
It should end, Bryan. I've been telling you again and again. It should end. Look at that face. Look at how weathered and old he looks. Bryan, it should end. Those wrinkles on your forehead are signs that things should end. This guy has all the money in the world. You know, with how hard his dad has worked, and obviously for some stuff he's done too. I'm sure he's got his own good investments as well. He survived the fucking rape cancellation, which is one of the hardest things to come back from, especially as a man. In nowadays, he survived the rape allegation. He's still got a pod and a stand-up career, and he's still trying to be relevant. It's like, bruh, just be happy that you've got a podcast and that people invite you to go do shows in comedy bars and clubs around the country. What more do you actually want? Why does the hustle never end? Why can't you just take your foot off the pedal? Why can't you mentor some new comedians coming up? Why can't you maybe open your own comedy club, agency, platform, invest in a fucking new platform, a new app, a new something? Why are you still here? Why are you still in front of the camera? Why are you still yapping? Why are you still yapping? If people complain about me yapping, imagine you. You've been around since 1977 or something, whatever you're fucking born. Why are you still here? Why?
The challenge that you keep going towards.
Yeah.
Acting to you is not a challenge.
When I shoot my next special, I got to start.
I love how they're talking about acting, and then Bryan says, when I shoot my next special, because there is no acting. Bryan can't even get acting gigs at fucking Ben Shapiro's company, whatever he's doing. Conservative fucking filmmedia.com, whatever that fucking shit's called, right? I don't know, fucking Tel Aviv Studios. Bryan Callen can't even get a gig there. He has to fucking, now acting to him is like doing a stand-up special.
From scratch. Wow. And every time I start from scratch, I'm like, I may never be funny.
Fearful.
You know Louis Guzman. You know Louis Guzman,
yeah,
of course.
And
ratings are back.
Well, you know Louis was on. Louis.
Oh, look, good joke, right? That's always a great way to get good humor from your pod. To fucking chastise and to diminish and to poke fun at your co-host who's holding it down for you while you went away to play fucking car mechanic guy, to play fake gearhead. Now you come back. Oh, ratings are back now. Ratings are back. Ratings have never been back. Ratings left actually with fear. Some would say ratings left the moment Chris D'Elia found out that Snapchat fucking messages could be recorded. Ratings have never been back.
Ratings are back.
Ratings are back, guys.
So sorry to the listeners out there. I left you with Bryan.
Here's the bump.
Yeah. Louis, just to add on what you just said, Louis.
Talking about Louis Armstrong?
Louis Guzman. He's on the show. You know.
Of course, brilliant, isn't it? There's nothing better than somebody that turns up late and tries to interject into the conversation to get into the conversation. There's nothing that I hate more. There's nothing I hate more than a person who doesn't know what you're talking about, who comes in late and then tries to interject by making some, like, no, just make a contribution to the conversation and say something. Don't try and like ask a question, like, shut up. But yeah, brilliant, isn't it? These guys don't care about this pod anymore whatsoever. And Brendan leaving halfway through to go sort out his fucking truck, because that's the most important thing, is representation of it. They really don't give a fuck about the show anymore. They're really going through the motions. And like I said, this podcast depends solely on the future or lack thereof of Podcast One. If Podcast One goes under, if the Podcast One stock goes down, these guys are fucked. If Podcast One stock goes down, these guys are F-U-C-K-E-D. I swear to God they are. If this goes down, that is the fucking truth of it. Let's see 6 months where this thing has been. It started out at 193, then it went to 208, 220 USD in December 2023. That might have been when they IPO'd, or maybe they IPO'd around here. Where was that last? IPO'd around there. It was at 255, 252, and now it's leveled out at 190. If Podcast One goes under, the Fire and the Kid is nowhere to be found. That's my little thing about that. Continuing on from that one, we did that one about Brendan not liking Podcast One or not giving a fuck about the pod. We did the one about Bobby Lee. What else we got to do? Quickly before I got a fucking jet. Oh, we got another one here. This is an interesting one. What do you guys think about this one? I saw this clip, right, and I had to fucking clip it and put it up on the streamable because I thought this is interesting to kind of talk about. So this is from a recent episode again of The Fire and the Kid, and it features Bryan asking Brendan, not so subtly, about his addies and baddies addiction. Number one, or primarily, the Adderall addiction. To me, when I heard this clip, it sounded like the most... It sounded like he asked it in the most least subtle way possible. You know, like when your parents think you're on drugs and they want to be cheeky and funny about it, and they ask it like in a really like, so are you do you like to rave as well? Are you the raving to, like, I don't know. It just sounded like he wasn't asking this to be funny. He was actually asking this seriously, but didn't know how else to ask it because they don't really talk that much. So when he asked Brendan about it, it kind of came across like this came from a real place, a little bit. Again, maybe I'm being an idiot. But hear this clip and let me know if you agree with me. Is Bryan actually concerned about Brendan's Adderall use, or is he just trying to be funny?
Podcast on hold. Yeah, I'll do that too.
I said Bryan will hold the fort down.
Well, you're obsessed.
Yeah. Today's busy, and then I had to relocate where the gas nozzle, the neck, from where your usual tank is to the back of the truck.
Yep.
And there's an issue with it. I don't want to get into it because the guy helped me. There's an issue with it, and gas went everywhere, and it won't take gas right
There's
now.
always an issue, though, isn't there?
Oh, but I have now. It's not 91 gas. It's E85, so it's like a.
Jesus Christ! He bought a legit lemon, innit? He legitimately bought a lemon. Whoever that guy is in Arizona, wherever that place was that sold him that lightning, they are laughing at him, innit? That person legitimately sold him a lemon. I have a feeling that lightning was sitting in that guy's garage or his lot somewhere, just collecting dust. And he just did what any other hustler does when they're selling their car. He put that shit through a car wash. He gave it a good polish. He gave it a good clean on the inside. Got someone to fucking clean the fucking seats with a deep suction fucking hoover. Got someone to put a bit of polish on the fucking interior dash to make it sparkle. Put some of that fucking dye, black tar paint on the fucking wheels to make them look brand new. And then took some pictures of it and sold it like that online via the picture only. Because people see it new. They see it looking shiny and automatically think it's new. Think it's perfectly good. Brendan got done by the pictures again. That person bumped him, hustled him so hard for that lightning. That person hustled him so hard. So hard.
Corn alcohol smell.
There you go. It's an ethanol
and it's
thing.
driving me nuts right now.
Now I'll tell you this: I'm very happy with you're tight. You're tight. You're
Thank
looking
you,
tight.
sir.
You're taking certain things you wouldn't be allowed to take when you were fighting, like peptides. Yeah.
I can take peptides. I can take.
You see? Look where he's leading to. He says, you're looking tight. You're looking tight. So this started off with Bryan basically being a little bit concerned with Brendan because he seemed rattled. He seemed a little bit unfocused. He seemed a little bit anxious, dare I say. And then he says, oh, you look tight. You look tight. Yeah, so you can take peptides. And now look what he mentions. Look what he mentions as a follow-up.
TRT.
Oh, you can.
I also get rest now. Now I'm on the road. Daddy's asleep by 9. And
now we've got some new law to fucking new cope retcon about comedy. Oh, now I'm not doing comedy. I can get rest and I'm more healthy. Wasn't comedy your fucking dream? You went to go on SNL. You went to have specials on big platforms and shit. Now all of a sudden, comedy was killing you, and now you're resting and you're a much better, healthier place. Interesting.
That's why I wake up so early at 4. I'm in the gym by 5.
Not touching.
No one believes you're in the gym at 5. If you were in the gym at 5, you'd be posting on Instagram.
No, none of that
No
stuff,
Adderall.
Dude. Nope, nothing.
You're
living a healthy life, dude.
Oh, you see that? You see how Bryan said that in there? No alcohol, no Adderall. Obviously no alcohol because alcohol, alcohol cravings go down allegedly when you do fucking Ozempic and shit. So that's a natural consequence of him taking Ozempic, which he's really, refusing to admit. Clearly he's taken it because we've never seen Brendan lose this much weight ever in the history of him doing podcasts, and he's done every fad diet under the sun. Then suddenly Ozempic comes around and by coincidence, I'm losing weight. Yep, you're on Ozempic. So Bryan slips the Adderall question in back there very quietly, very subtly. And then Brendan doesn't look at him the whole time. The whole time he's looking at him when he's answering the question. But then when he answers the question about Adderall, he looks down.
Touching alcohol.
No, none of that
no
stuff,
Adderall.
Dude. Nope, nothing.
You're
living a healthy life, dude.
You see
Happy.
that? One more time.
By 5.
Not touching
no,
alcohol.
No, none of that
no
stuff,
Adderall.
Dude. Nope, nothing.
You're
living a healthy.
No, nothing. Looking down. Literally looking down. He's not looking up, not looking at anything. That to me looks like a liar. That guy's taking all the Adderalls. We know he is because we've seen some of the clips of him on the fucking golden hour, ratty and unfocused and speedy and interrupting way more than he usually does. He's definitely on all the addies.
Life, dude. Happy, living a healthy life. I just smell like gasoline.
Okay.
That's my problem.
That's
and
all right.
The cars
I don't
are giving me
smell
some
it.
problems. You don't smell it? Thank
Bryan's very concerned.
No.
Bryan's very concerned. That look was a concerned old man. He can't help it. He's old man, concerned eyes are coming there because he's also looking at Brendan as the cash cow. He's the reliable B. He is the one that's basically allowed him to kind of continue podcasting throughout these years on a consistent basis because like your lumpet, Brendan has been quite consistent with the Fire and the Kid and Thick Boy in general. Bryan's looking at him like, fuck, dude. Don't die on me. Don't OD on me, dude. I need you. I have alimony to pay. I have a house in fucking Miami I just bought. You know what I mean? Like, please, don't fucking die on me, please. Please. Think about my wife. Don't think about your wife. Think about my wife. He's actually concerned. That's the look of a very, very concerned elderly man. Like, please, sir, are you sure you're not on Addies? Are you sure you're not doing stuff? Are you sure you're not trying to cope with the demise of your career by soothing yourself with a sweet, sweet, sweet embrace of those fucking orangey little pills, which I'd understand why you would take them. But please, be mindful when you do. Be mindful, please.
Oh, thank God.
No.
With that big honker, I figured you would.
Well, Daddy was sick. Now
you did miss Tiger's championship game. And I made basically I'm a manager on the team. Also, I'm a
manager on the team. What does that even mean? Why do you take that much pride in even saying that on the podcast and repeating it? I'm a manager on the team. Like, come on, bro. Come on.
I'm the team mom, basically, right? But I just can motivate the kids.
Brownies.
Yeah. Hey, look what, brownies. But so they have game balls. And
I love how he abandoned trying to make an impression of what a soccer baseball mom would sound like. Hey, look what you just abandoned.
I'm the team mom, basically, right? But I just can motivate the kids.
Brownies.
Yeah. Hey, look what, brownies. But so they have game balls. And I paint the game balls for the championship. I paint them gold, and I hand drew on all of them, like MVP and all this stuff. We lost the game. We lost the game.
We lost the game.
We lost the game.
Anyway, no one cares about those stories about his kid in baseball. I just thought that was funny because Bryan was trying to subtly ask Brendan about his Adderall usage. Subtly ask him. Because someone like Brendan also, he likes his vices, right? He likes to have a little bit of a vice, let his hair down. So if he can't drink when he's on Ozempic, he's definitely going to do Adderall. It just goes without saying. 100% he's on Adderall. I don't deny it. I don't fucking deny it. Anyway, my friends, that's it. I'm off. 2 hours. Thank you for joining in to the random show. It's been a fucking pleasure to have your fucking attention here. 244 episode. I appreciate all of you for joining in. It's Monday, start of the week, fresh week, work week. Get out there and go fucking get it. Collect those fucking coins. Stack those fucking shekels so you yourself can buy a TRX truck like fucking Brendan, so you can buy a white Tesla like fucking Callen, so you can also sit on some big comfy red chairs like the TFATK people, and so you could maybe potentially be Rogan's best friend sometime in the future. That's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go chase my dream, so maybe I can be Rogan's friend sometime in the future. Who fucking knows? Anyway, for those of you tuning in live, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Make sure you like the fucking stream down below. Press the like button down below. Smash that like button down below. If you did enjoy the stream, help a brother out, smash that like button down below. Timestamps will be added after the fact. Once you see the fucking cover art, once you see the artwork for the episode updated, you will know the timestamps have been done. So when that gets done, you will see the timestamps get added there. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you join the Discord. Make sure you follow me on Kick, because I'll be doing some exclusive Kick content on there very, very soon. And of course, join the Patreon at patreon.com/Agostino. Join for as little as $1 per month. You get access to exclusive Patreon-only content, such as me reacting to comedy specials on Netflix, because I can't put them up anywhere else. So make sure you check out the Patreon and other random show Taz-adjacent shows. There'll be a Taz premiering later on today as well, so check that out also. Thank you so much for those of you checking me out. I appreciate all of you in the stream chat for hanging out with me. Make sure you fucking like the stream, and I'll see all of you guys again very, very, very soon. Thank you for chilling. Thank you for chilling. Thank you for chilling. Thank you for chilling.